But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 8, 9, 10.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night. Monday Fun Day? Or is Monday the pits? Well, the Monday can't be the pits because the Monday brings the troubled minds and the rest of the week. So there we go. Well, this is a show, it's not about Monday. It is Monday, but it's not about Monday in particular. This show's about all the things, right? All the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, but also Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And what are those things we're not allowed to talk about? You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Now, what that means, of course, is a lot of things. It means that it's just too much to talk about. So we have to sum it up to give you an idea at the top here. Just really what's going on with the world we live in, right? That's what this is all about. And having a conversation about some of the more, let's say, concerning or interesting or, things like this. You just never know, right? You never know what kind of pops up in the news. You never know what kind of pops up in the zeitgeist. You never know what kind of stuff we've never talked about before. And in this case, well, we're going to be talking about some things that we've never actually directly discussed, which is odd because 4 years of Troubled Minds this past week, which was a nice day off. So thanks, guys, for allowing that to happen. And I got a nice nap and got some baseball in. It's baseball season, by the way. And so there you go. This show's not about baseball, though. So, okay. All right. Yes, hacking AI vehicles. Indeed. All right. So that's what's on my mind tonight. We're going to start with that spot, all right? We're going to start with this idea of, you can call them killer cars. I think that's maybe a little, let's say, out there, right? It's more like a bad clickbait headline is what it is. But how about this, right? The idea tonight begins with the ambiguous controller, meaning with an AI vehicle, which we're becoming closer and closer to actually having these autonomous vehicles happen. And become more ubiquitous, we are going to be riding around in these things. You're going to hail an Uber or whatever the company is going to be called in the future. You're going to smash the button on your phone, and then a car's going to drive up, and there's going to be nobody in it. And you're expected to get into this thing, which again is a, in many cases, let's say a 2,500 pound vehicle, a chunk of metal with an AI controlled brain, and it's going to take you wherever you'd like to go. All right. So there you go. That's where we begin with just my thought on that. All right. We're going to get into more of this tonight. And again, like I said, explain please forgive the Killer Cars headline. It's just it's a callback to a Radiohead song. If you guys like Radiohead out there, Radiohead actually has an old, it's a B-side off the Benz, and it's called Killer Cars. And so I thought it was kind of funny to use the Killer Cars term in the title tonight. So forgive that. It's not me being a doom monger or anything like that. But there are concerning things to talk about regarding these ambiguous controllers and AI enhanced killer cars. Yeah, right. $8 says, or wherever it wants you to go. Exactly right. You never know. And okay, so anyway, so before we get into all that, that's what's on my mind tonight and as we go. But what we're going to do first is transparency. As part of this, right, as part of the whole thing, we have to get together and say, hey, this is not just me talking, though it is a talk show, and I could talk a lot. I do talk a lot, and I could continue to talk more. But I think it's more fun if I speak less and you speak more, because it just becomes a conversation. I've learned so much on this show, not just from doing all the sort of deep dives into the conspiracies and all these things, whether it's real or not. I don't know. I can't really tell you, right? But what I can tell you is that it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. And as part of that, part of all of this, we get together and talk about these things. Is this real? Is this not real? Is there a conspiracy of the CIA running cars off the road and stuff like this? We're going to talk about that. I told Robert earlier, I don't think that's true. And then I did a little bit of digging, and well, I have the right to change my mind. So as we do this tonight, we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And if you want to give us a call, it's 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And you can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. We're streaming on there also via YouTube. And if you're ever confused about where to find us, just go straight to troubledminds.org. It has everything there. Everything's there, the social media, the times we stream and broadcast live, all the rest of that stuff, the podcast feed, it's all there. It's all there. Go check it out, troubledminds.org. Okay. All right. So now, one more thing. So also we are, like I said, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Please join the Discord there. It's fringe.fm/chat. I'm watching all the chat in all the places. Like the joke. The joke went over pretty well last week when I said I'm like the Eye of Sauron. I see the chat in all the places. Well, I am watching the chat in all the places. And speaking of the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat, what's up, smagician88? I see you over there. How are you, my friend? Okay, so and one more thing, please download the Fringe app. You can find that at your app store. Of course, that's going to be Android or Apple. Completely free. Fringe FM app. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds at 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. Just smash the play button on the app, and you get me. You get us. You get Troubled Minds, and you get all the other great programming that happens on the Fringe FM. Okay, all right. Let's do it. Let's get to this. Why not? So this is how this began tonight. Earlier this afternoon when we were doing the news show, and you guys know who was there. You know how this developed. So this is what we were talking about. This is from TheVerge.com, all right? And this is how this whole thing started, and kind of put the idea into not my head, our collective head, because we're a group here. And it starts like this. TheVerge.com reports, here's what happens when cops pull over a driverless cruise vehicle. All right. Okay. That's fine. So here we go. Let's see. It's been, this is straight from the article. It's been a little over 2 months since Cruise started letting the people of San Francisco catch rides on its driverless robo-taxis. And one of its cars already had a run-in with police. In a video originally posted to Instagram last weekend, the user captures the awkward and somewhat comical interaction between the San Francisco Police Department and the autonomous vehicle after it's pulled over for not having its lights on. Okay, all right. So the cops try and pull this thing over. It's not driven by a person, so what do you think it does? Well, it tries to pull over. Except, well, then it doesn't. And then, well, since there's no person inside, they can't drag them out and beat them down. So comically, the cops, and I say that only as a bad joke, but it is a bad joke. And so here we go. All right. After stopping the Chevy Bolt turned Cruise vehicle, a police officer goes up to its window and tries to unsuccessfully open the door and starts walking back to his cruiser. The autonomous vehicle begins to drive away in what at first seems like the perfect start to a police chase, but then pulls over and puts its hazards on at a point further down the road. So this thing drives away. The cop walks up to this car. All right, there's what this thing looks like if you're watching the streams, and because it's driving with its lights off. Okay, so we got a couple problems here. First off, the problem is this: the AI in this car somehow failed to recognize that it was dark enough that the lights should have been turned on. All right, so there's the first problem. All right, the AI, there was some sort of malfunction. Okay, think about that. Some sort of malfunction. You're supposed to just hop in the back of this thing and be like, yeah, take me home, Robo James. James like the butler James, not like James of Salcedo Paranormal James. What's up, James? Home, James. Clap your hands, and the Robo Butler takes you home, right? Or not, depending on whether it has an actual, well, I don't know, a mind of its own, let's say. Okay, all right. Okay, so here's the thing. All right, so this happens, right? The cops pull this thing over. It's a driverless car in San Francisco, and it's operating as a taxi service, okay? The cop pulls it over. It stops. The cop comes up, and they're like, what do you do now, right? Like, how do you talk to the car? Like, how do you tell the car, hey, your lights are off. You need to turn them on, right? So the cop tries to open the door, can't get in because it's locked, of course, because you don't want it just anybody hopping in and taking over the car, right? So the cop's like kind of perplexed, goes back to his police cruiser, and then the car starts driving away. And they're like, what in the world? Like, what is this? So then the car drives a little ways down and then pulls over and then turns its hazards on. So so the AI determined that it was an unsafe place for a traffic stop and started driving away to go to a safer spot to pull off the road and turn on its hazards, right? Which, I mean, hey, has anybody actually ever been pulled over by a police officer and they did it in like the most hilariously unsafe spot? I've seen it happen. I'm like, that is not the best place for them to stop, right? But the cops are just like, block off the thing with their car and put the lights on. And you're like, okay, all right, I guess that's fine. It's dangerous, but okay, I guess it's fine. You're the cop, right? So in any case, right, here we have this the AI in the car can't communicate with the cops, which is super funny. And then the cops are like, hey dude, like, what do we do now? And then the car starts driving away like it's going to be a police chase. Wouldn't that be the funniest thing if like this AI in the car determined that, no, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm out of here. Just takes off, and then the cops start chasing this autonomous car. That would be funny, right? And this is the world we live in, and this is the craziest part. Okay, so this is what got me thinking in terms of what we're going to talk about tonight. What happens when the AI inside of a car decides that it's, for whatever reason, whether it's based on its programming or based on something else, that it's not going to do what it's supposed to do, all right? And then the next stop there is what happens when, let's say, I don't know, who controls who, right? If you don't have, if you hop into this car, that you hail the Uber, whatever, the Lyft, or whatever they're going to call these things. In this case, it's the Cruise in San Francisco, and it rolls up. Do you get into this thing if there's nobody driving it? How do you feel about that? So that's the first question, right? Do you feel like you want to hop into a car that nobody's driving? That's my first question for you tonight. Number two, what about the AI? Do you think these AIs are not just, let's say, robust enough to keep us safe, right? And keep the community around them safe? That's the second question. And the third question sort of begins with another story, which we'll get into tonight as well. We got a whole bunch of stuff, of course. So the third question is, do you think that if these cars are hackable, that the CIA has access to software that could just derail your car mid-drive? All right, because of course that's what this article brought up earlier in the news show. Robert said it, and I said, I don't think that's true, dude. And he linked a thing, and I'm like, okay. So I start digging, and wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? Wait, what about the hackers? Yeah, okay. So anyway, lots of questions tonight. One, would you get into a driverless car if you hail a taxi or whatever you want to call it anymore? In this case, it's a cruise in San Francisco. You hail a cruise on your app. This car pulls up. There's nobody in it. Are you getting in? All right. Now, the reason I say that is because I'm probably not. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Because I'm probably on a list or two, right? Because, the conspiracy talk show and all this, right? I'm probably on a list. So I'm not going to hop in some autonomous vehicle. It's not happening for me. It's not. I don't want like a mishap, if you know what I mean. Call me conspiratorial minded, but there we go. So would you get in the car? Two, do you think we should trust the AIs that they're building into these things to not just keep you safe, hopping into the car, keep the community around it safe? And three, what about the CIA and being able to hack into these things? All right, and let's say do what's known as a digital assassination. Yes. No. All right, so you tell me, what are your thoughts on those things? Do you think all that's real, and et cetera, so on? All right, that's the first question. The second and the third question, and there's more because of course there's always more. So looking to hear your thoughts on this tonight as we begin. Would you jump into this AI autonomous car with no driver? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. All right. So they pull over this car in San Francisco, okay? It has this weird little thing, and it drives away. They don't know how to talk to it. It's basically they're pulling over the car for not having lights on. The AI somehow didn't realize it was dark enough to have the lights on. Hilariously, the cops pull it over. They don't know who to talk to because there's no one to talk to because nobody's driving the car. But then the car starts to drive away, and then hilarity ensues. And so this is the future, all right? This is the future. Okay, so here we go. The vehicle yielded. Here's what the cruise spokesperson said. Aaron McLear explained to The Verge, the autonomous vehicle didn't drive away to escape from police. It was trying to find a safer location to pull over in and move that most human drivers can't get away with so easily. Like I said, they'll probably cut you off, drag you out by your ear, and beat your ass right there on the concrete. And I say that only half in jest. McLear also confirmed that the SFPD pulled over the vehicle for not having its headlights on and says Cruise has since fixed the issue. Okay. All right. So as long as the issue's fixed, this is fine, right? This should be fine. Okay. But it starts to make you wonder, how come there was a sensor gone wrong? There was something happening with this vehicle, all right, wherein it didn't turn the lights on appropriately when it should have, when it was dark enough to have done that. So this AI vehicle, nobody driving it, doesn't have its lights on. Okay, so you can argue the merits of the safety there, depends on the street lights and all the rest of the stuff. But I see on the Walmart big rigs it says lights on for safety, right? Even in broad daylight, they got their lights on for safety. So hey, you can't argue with signs on the back of a Walmart truck. So if the light's on, they're safe. But in this case, the lights, didn't turn on. So here we are. So okay, so if there's an error with something like this, what about other errors? What about other issues with these autonomous vehicles, all right? And do you think there's anything a little more nefarious happening with this? So I don't know. That's the crazy stuff. And I got some other things. To talk about, of course, regarding this. But so that's where we start. We start with this idea of this, hilarious traffic stop with an AI vehicle, and the cop doesn't have anybody to speak with because it's a car, right? And so what are we going to do? We're going to have, in the future, the cops are going to have these little, something to plug into the vehicle to do a diagnostic on the spot, because right, you would expect it's the job of police officers to pull, traffic police officers anyway. There's a lot of different types of cops, right? But so some of them do traffic and they pull people over or vehicles over I said people, but look what happens when you pull somebody over and there's nobody in the car. What are you doing? You're pulling vehicles over now. And how do you communicate? It's like pulling over an alien, right? Imagine like a UFO zipping by super fast and the cop's like, whoa, you're speeding. And then walks up to the UFO and like knocks on the window and like the window doesn't come down. What do you do? How do you communicate? What goes on here? So you get the idea. All right. So as funny as that is, that's where we start. But it brings up this idea. Okay. So not only if we can have, let's say, malfunctions from AI on the fly like this, what about the idea that your vehicle can be hacked? All right. What about the idea that you hop in and you're driving and then suddenly somebody takes over the vehicle and it's not the AI, it's been overridden, it's some hacker somewhere else in the world. Or is it? What exactly is it? Is it a rogue AI? Is it a hacker? And these types of things are very, very real. So there we go. All right. So with all that, there's this one. All right. Let's see. We'll do the ice cream later. We'll do that later. What do I got? Hold on. Give me just a sec here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Would you get into a vehicle? And here's the idea that Robert linked earlier. This was written by an individual named Michael Hastings. All right. And this is from the Rolling Stone. And this is back in June 22nd, 2010. All right. And Michael Hastings was an investigative reporter, was in the past tense because he passed away under mysterious circumstances inside of a vehicle. All right. So here's the crazy part, right? So this was the actual article that he published that kind of got him in hot water and on the radar of, let's say, as some have claimed, and I don't know if this is completely true. The claims are that the CIA hacked his vehicle, accelerated it super quickly, and he smashed into a tree and the car exploded and it shot the engine like 200 yards across the street or something, right? And here's the article he wrote. It's called The Runaway General, the profile that brought down McChrystal. And this is the Rolling Stone profile of Stanley McChrystal that changed history. And this is it's very long, of course. It's very well written. And they say that this individual, Michael Hastings, was a fantastic reporter. And he was working on something very large just before his untimely demise inside of a vehicle under suspicious circumstances. So, well, the question becomes, do you think it's possible for, let's say, the CIA to hack into vehicles and basically carry out clandestine assassinations? Just turn it on and to turn left at high speeds, and boom, you, instead of going off the off ramp, you go on the on ramp or something like this, right? It's as simple as that, and boom, exactly. What's up, Freaking 8? This is actually very terrifying. Exactly. This is why I think it's worthy of a discussion here. But again, right? So who is hacking what? I think that's the craziest part. As I always say, if you can build it, you can hack it, and that's the damn truth. Okay. So now, once we become more and more reliant on these AIs to just ferry us around, okay. So, and that becomes the next question, right? So, is it worth it to you to completely hand over the entire, basically, autonomy of driving your car for a little more smartphone time? Because that's what this turns into, right? You can, instead of texting and driving and trying to watch a YouTube video while you're navigating traffic, you just hop into this thing and the robot drives you, and you can watch YouTube videos all you want, right? You can turn on TikTok like crazy if that's what you want. Well, you tell me. Who do you trust? What do you trust? Would you do this? And would you turn over the autonomy of your own control driving an autonomous vehicle? Well, not driving it, sitting in it in this case. And there you go. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Lots to consider. And we'll get to Michael Hastings and the suspicious circumstances. We'll get to hacking vehicles. And of course, we'll get to the idea that the CIA carries out assassinations through vehicle hacking. Is this even possible? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More ambiguous controllers, AI-enhanced killer cars, your calls, and more when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss this idea of AI-enhanced killer cars. Meaning, of course, is it possible for the CIA to use some sort of technology to hack into vehicles and carry out assassinations? And on top of that, that's one conspiracy theory, all right? And again, I found some information that maybe suggests this is true, all right? And I don't know if this is true. That's why this is a conversation, and I'm taking your thoughts on this. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying there's some compelling information that came out of WikiLeaks that suggests maybe, all right? And so that's what we're talking about tonight. If you hail a taxi cab, an Uber, whatever, and it rolls up and there's nobody driving, are you getting in? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just tickled. I'm wearing my Troubled Minds cap.
Nice. Nice. Everything good? The quality's good? It looks good?
Oh, it's excellent. I of course, when I first put it on, I didn't adjust the band, and it kind of hid half my head. So I had to adjust that band all the way over.
Yeah.
And it just fits real snug.
Nice. Fantastic. I'm glad it arrived safe and sound. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate it very much, my man. So this actually idea tonight was inspired by you and your CIA assassination comment there in the news show chat. So what are your thoughts on this AI-enhanced killer cars? You think that's a little bit much, or do you think it's accurate?
Well, let's put some really profound circumstantial evidence out there. All right, and that means going to talk about a little bit of history. Do you remember when all those, there was Toyotas that were suddenly accelerating, and some people, even whole family, lost their lives because he couldn't stop a car? Do you remember that?
I do, and it was kind of widespread. Even they recalled it wasn't tens of thousands; it wasn't like 100,000 cars or something.
Well, I mean, there wasn't 100,000 involved in accidents, but they had to recall the cars. But this is going on for a long time. This is going on from 2000 to 2010, all right? And Toyota recalled those cars, and they tore them apart, down to everything, down to the nuts and bolts. And after all their investigation, they could not find the problem of why their cars were doing that.
Which is a little terrifying. Which means what exactly? Do you think that there was something nefarious at work, some kind of AI, rogue AI, or do you think it was, as we suggested, maybe the CIA?
I think like anything else, our government, whenever it wants to do something, when it wants to test something, it always seems to test it on Americans. All right, they're just the civilians. I think that the intelligence agencies, the CIA, the deep state, whatever, had this toy that they had developed, maybe through DARPA, whatever. All right, that allowed them to do this sort of thing, and they were testing it on innocent people to see how it worked.
Okay, and
then you have Michael Hastings. All right, the man was on the verge of breaking a big story that was going to bring down a lot of people. All right, he was texting, telling I think it was his brother or his girlfriend, that he had to go into hiding for a while because they were after him. And suddenly he's driving along, and his car accelerated like 100 miles per hour, ran off the road, and struck a tree, and he was killed instantly. The whole thing just exploded into a ball of flames. All right. So you have the Toyotas, that's with their sudden acceleration. You have Michael Hastings with his car suddenly accelerating where he can't control it, and he gets killed. All right. I think that there's more than enough circumstantial evidence there that somebody has the ability and has been using that ability for years, either through testing it on innocent people, or going after its adversaries, people who are going to be whistleblowers. Like Michael Hastings was one of the best.
Yeah, so he was, you were correct. He had just sent an email just prior to this accident happening that he was on to a big story and he was going to lay low for a little while. It was something to that effect. And then literally like within an hour, he was dead. And his car, exactly like you described, accelerated super fast on a road that nobody has any business driving that quickly on. And boom. I mean, Fred in the chat says, I thought they blamed it on the floor mats getting stuck on the gas pedal. Is that what they said?
Sure. All right, Michael Hastings been driving all his life, most of his life, and suddenly he doesn't have that. He has that problem. I guess all those Toyotas would have the same problem. These are just people who just somehow got their floor mat caught in the accelerator. But what's interesting to me, on top of that, is like I said with the Toyotas. The problem with the Toyotas was going on from 2000 to 2010. So it was going on prior to Hastings' death, because Hastings died June 18, 2013, when his car went off the road, suddenly accelerated out of control. So that tells me that if the circumstances look to me like they had tested it on innocent people, and prior to this, prior to Hastings, so it was already ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think part of this is you have to have the technology built into the cars to be able to take advantage of this. So I agree with you that it is a little suspicious that the sudden acceleration on these the Toyota vehicles you're describing is very similar to what happened to this individual, Michael Hastings. And again, he was a high value target in regard to being a whistleblower. So, coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. So okay. So back to the other question too, Robert, regarding AI in advanced cars now, because of course the conversation becomes, this was back in 2013 with Michael Hastings, before a lot of cars actually had the ability to be taken over by remote control. If a car rolls up now without a driver, are you getting in? Are you trusting that?
I'm not a big target. All right. As far as testing whether or not on civilians, just ordinary civilians, that's over. They've done that. They did, and they seem to just focus on the Toyotas. I don't know why, but they did. All right. What's interesting? There's a little bit more to this. Let's go down a little deeper.
Sure.
There used to be. Remember the X-Files?
Yeah, great show.
There was a spin-off of the X-Files called The Smoking Gun, I believe it was called. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the three guys. It was called. No, it's not the name. It was. It'll come to me in a sec. The gunman, the lone gunman. Yeah. Yeah,
there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember the premiere episode? Was about a plane that was taken over by remote control and was going to crash into the World Trade Center?
I don't actually. I've never seen the show. I know it got canceled after one season or part of one season, and I never saw it, unfortunately. But I believe you.
Well, if you Google, you'll get Wikipedia will tell you the episodes. There was only one season, I believe, but that premiere episode came out. I believe it was 1999, right? And they had the plot that the plane was taken over, remote control, and aiming for the World Trade Center. And of course, a couple of years later, what happened? Two planes hit the World Trade Center. All right, and they never, from what I understand, they never recovered the black boxes that I'm aware of. All right, but I'm not saying that happened. But I'm not saying it didn't either. That those planes were taken over by remote control. We'll never know whether that happened there.
Yeah, interesting.
And look at China. That plane just was it a week ago or a week and a half ago? That plane that suddenly just dropped down out of the sky and straight down. It just quit. Somebody shut it off. Did somebody take it over? I mean, it didn't look like that pilot was even trying to keep that plane in the air.
Right, like it had been hijacked somehow. Yeah, but maybe electronically. I see what you're saying.
And maybe it's possible that maybe it's likely that he did not have he wasn't able because the control of the plane was taken from him or them, the two pilots. So then we get into the other thing. Do you know they have devices now? All right, the police in some larger cities, they've been supplied a device that will, if they're in a chase, chasing a getaway vehicle, whatever, that they can actually stop the car with this remote device.
Okay, so I didn't know that, and I think, again, right, that's why, like a good old 67 Chevy, you wouldn't be able to stop one, would you? Just going to keep on trucking.
No, you wouldn't. But yes, this is, as a matter of fact, GM started putting that on their own vehicles, that device that allows police to do that a few years back. I believe it's probably now required on all vehicles, or if it isn't, it's going to be required on all vehicles. And it allows the police to avoid having, a dangerous situation. They just use this remote thing, and the car comes to a halt. And that's because you got all of those circuits. You got all that tech in the car that allows them to do that.
Yep, I've actually did some digging, as you know me, and I've got some actual evidence to suggest a lot of what you're saying is true, and more, because there's a ton of things that can happen that we don't know if it's happened yet. Because, like you said, how would you know? Like, a lot of this is sort of very ambiguous in terms of car accidents. An accident is an accident, but how do you prove that an accident was not an accident? I think that's the weird part about this, and why this gets very, very terrifying. We got Joe on the phone behind you, man. He called right when you did.
Can I take this one step further?
Sure, go ahead.
It's important to me.
Sure.
When I was growing up, you would buy something from your manufacturer, let's say a washer, dryer, refrigerator, whatever, and it would last 25, 30 years, all right? And then they started what's called manufacturing obsolescence, where it was designed so that it would break down like in 5 or 7 years. Well, now we have all these smart devices that are coming out, all right? The Internet of Things. All right, where your refrigerator, your washer, dryer, all your, and I'm thinking to myself, when they need maybe they're going to be able to decide, well, we're going to send a signal to Mr. Aaron's house. He bought this refrigerator 5 years ago, and it's time for him to get a new refrigerator. So we're going to send a signal there. It's past the warranty now. And we're going to send a signal, and we're going to cause that refrigerator to malfunction catastrophically. Do you think that could be on the horizon?
I think in a world where everything's automated like this, I think it all can be on the horizon for sure. That's again, we're talking about hacking the power grid. We're talking about hacking water systems, all kinds of stuff, right? There's a lot of really scary stuff, sort of that we're enabling by putting everything online like this. I think it is. I think it's let's say worrisome at the very least.
Well, I think that if enough of this happens over time, people just get to the point where they just say enough, right? And you're going to wind up throwing all that tech out of those cars, and people are just going to go and get the kind of vehicles that they used to build that you can fix yourself, or they're going to make their own. I don't know, but this is getting very dangerous because this artificial intelligence, this tech, has a potential to kill undercover, and also to cause the consumer a whole lot of problems. Allowing a manufacturer to deliberately cause things to malfunction right after the warranty. So that you have to get another refrigerator or another washer dryer or another whatever. Okay, I'm going to let you. I'm sorry, but
You're okay. You're okay. I appreciate
this
it.
is where it's all going.
You're the best, Robert. Thank you for the phone call. Have a great night. Thanks for listening. Robert here has a book called Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. Links in the description. Give him some love. 702-957-1037. The Ambiguous Controller. AI-enhanced killer cars. I know the headline's a little bit weak, but let's go to Joe in Florida. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Thanks for being patient, my friend. Go right ahead.
So there's an unwritten rule that if you come across money, or if you get a bonus, or if you have extra money, you don't mention that you have extra money inside your kitchen. Because the refrigerator hears that, and then it tells all the other appliances and maybe your car that you have extra money, and then something breaks.
And something starts breaking.
That's where your money goes.
I've never heard that, but now I've heard that. That's amazing.
So, yes. Thank you, Robert, for taking all my talking points. But, if I could take it a little bit further. It's a funny thing that you mentioned the China plane, because I wrote a little note on that. And I know a few pilots, and it was probably about 2 weeks ago, and one guy texted me. It was about hockey, and then we were chatting, and, he works for... he flies a plane for mail. I don't know if it's UPS or what, but I had mentioned, what was going on over there, and he said, the probabilities were suicide, catastrophic failure. If it was a suicide, okay. If it was a catastrophic failure, what does that mean? Or hacking. There's a lot of, short answer, yes, they would do it. We know they would do it, but not just the CIA. Anybody. Other examples would include, and I've said it before on the show, you can look it up. Chrysler Jeeps, a lot of Chryslers were hacked through the radio. Through the entertainment system, not radios anymore, they're entertainment systems. So, of course, they would do it. A friend of mine, she just put a brand new Accord on the Accord. And you hear the voice on that thing, it's a female voice that talks to you, and it rates her driving. It literally will rate her driving. I don't know how it does it, it's a grade or whatever. And she also has the autopilot or pilot assist, basically. And she says it kind of creeps her out. Because, if you start to drift, the car wheel will center up. It'll try to center up the car. So how does that work? If you overcompensate, does your input get canceled? So are you not really driving the car? Is it more fly-by-wire? Airplanes used to have cables to fly them, but now it's mainly fly-by-wire or computer controlled. So if your car is trying to compensate and you're trying to take control of the wheel, or you're fighting that, kind of like the pilots on those I forget the 800 Max or whatever it was, the planes that got grounded when they had the software issues. Those pilots were fighting the plane. How much were they actually doing? Or are they being just locked out? So the other thing is, what's your definition of hacking? How simple can it be? Can you hack and get control? How about if you can't hack and get control of the vehicle? However, let's say you could do a denial of service, something simple where you just bombard the particular car. We know that's possible because there was a kid, I think, that tracked Elon Musk's jet, somebody's jet using flight tracker radar, and he was able to get the call sign from the jet. So you would imagine that every car would have an IP address, an identification, and what happens if it was a rogue actor that just bombarded the car with signals, and the car, wouldn't stop, or wouldn't respond, or it wouldn't see if they bombarded a sensor, because all those cars now have infrared. They have sensors that see the road, so they don't need headlights, really, And the upside, like Robert said, like we discussed, the upside might be if the police have it and they're able to obtain an IP address, they can just shut the car down or just make the car drive right to jail, right to the police station. So, they have the doors locked and everything else. I don't think they would chase those cars. I think that they would maybe be able to enter in the program and wherever that hub or network is, the program would adjust the habits of a vehicle instead of directly interfacing with the car. I'm not a tech guy, but the only way I would see around it would be if those cars were fully autonomous, where they don't have any external control, where the car is literally its own AI. It knows what it needs. It doesn't upload or communicate. It would be, it wouldn't be wired in. The brain would be in the vehicle, and hopefully you wouldn't be able to hack it. Kind of reminds me of the last version of Battlestar Galactica, if anybody watched that.
I didn't see it, so I don't know the reference.
So in Battlestar Galactica, in the last version, everything's networked, and the Galactica is getting ready to be decommissioned, and Cylons attack, the network attack, everything goes down, but the original Galactica that's going back, everything was hardwired. Nothing was wireless in that ship, and that's why the ship survived, because it wasn't able to be hacked, neither were the fighter pilots and the fighters on that particular. They were not able to hack it. It's a great first episode. If you just see that, the network attack, the defense network attack, everything goes down all at once. There's no time to respond. Total annihilation. We've seen it before in a million other movies, war games, all those movies. And, the reason why that one ship survives is because it wasn't, it wasn't wireless. And the other thing, before I forget, I know you guys are watching SG-1. I've seen them all, but now that SG-1 is on Pluto, it's always all the time. And I just heard on an episode that it was about this guy who thought he was an alien. Anyway, he basically calls it, he goes, I know about the microwave harassment.
Yeah.
And it rang a bell about Havana syndrome. And I'm like, when did we learn about Havana syndrome? And when was that episode? And then I think about what you're saying now, microwave hacking, and you could just microwave a car, it just makes you go blind. That's simple, I would think.
Exactly. Great stuff. So would you get in a car with no driver?
I probably would. But then I got an Uber to take me to a strip club, so I probably wouldn't get in the car without a driver. It just depends on where I'm trying to go and who's with me.
All right, perfect. I appreciate the phone call, my friend. As you know, the music means we're out of time.
No cameras in the car.
No cameras in the car. I appreciate it, Joe. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for the call, brother.
Good night.
702-957-1037. So if you order an Uber or something and a car pulls up with no driver, are you getting in? And if not, why? Do you think the CIA has connections to these, like maybe Robert described, the Toyota acceleration stuff? What about this Michael Hastings? What's going on with this? And, what about war games? Shall we play a game? We'll get to that as well tonight. 702-957-1037. What do you think about these AI cars? Good or not good? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More AI-enhanced killer cars, your phone calls, and more when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night, which is one of the nights we get together to talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things? Too much to explain, so I got to sum up. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Tonight, of course, we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls as we discuss this idea of autonomous cars. Do you think somehow, some way, as some rumors suggest with Michael Hastings and some other maybe suspicious car accidents, that the CIA is able to hack into vehicles and carry out clandestine assassinations to make them look like accidents? What are your thoughts here? I don't know if I believe that entirely, but I think the technology definitely exists. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to, I think this is GameBet02. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is 416 Cube calling from Wisconsin.
416 Cubes, what's up, my man? Welcome to Troubled Minds. Over there on Rockfin. Go right ahead. What do you think about this this AI killer car stuff? You think I'm off the rails, or you think there's something to this?
So it actually kind of it caught me off guard. It must have been, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. I was watching a podcast by Millennial Millie, and she used to report for InfoWars, and now she does, I don't know, some of her own independent stuff. But she got really deep into the chips that were used in, I believe that whistleblower was driving a Mercedes, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I can't remember his name.
Michael Hastings.
Okay, so in those Mercedes, in those Mercedes, there's a certain chip that's used, and it is indefinitely. She had interviewed some people. It is indefinitely hackable. Like it's a fact. And the crazy thing is the ventilators that, I don't know if that's something I shouldn't talk about, but I already said it, I guess, some of them use the same chipset or it's made by the same manufacturer as that chipset that was in that Mercedes-Benz. And it kind of went down the whole rabbit hole of the potential fact of that, because we know they can be hacked, as well as those vents. And it's, I was like, oh my God, I got to call and tell them this. I don't have a ton of information on it because obviously when I was listening to it, I didn't write it all down, but she went into depth about it quite a bit. And it was verifiable that, not that they did hack it, but that it is a possibility that it can be done like 110%. I thought it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. We're actually kind of coming to living in a world where people are going to be able to hack your toaster and burn your toast. You know what I mean? Like that's how like kind of crazy this is starting to look like, right?
Well, I think that's the end game is obviously they can get in, they can hack the brain, they can hack everything we use, everything we watch, listen to, and it's by design. It's the whole full spectrum dominance end game that they have openly been talking about for 80, 60, 100 years or so.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole end game. It's how they control us. That's how they keep us quiet. That's how they get rid of us. That's how they whatever they want to do. They have the option of that full spectrum domination through hacking whatever the heck it is we use or see or drive or anything that's computer based. And then there's no accountability because you how do you pin down the hacker?
Exactly. Yeah. I like how you said that in the chat there. You're completely right. That once you sort of step into this realm, you can blame it on anybody, because you notice how hacks happen now is that, like Russia does it or somebody does it. It could be even like a third party, the mafia or something. And they're doing it. Whoever's doing it is doing it, but everybody's always blaming each other, right? No, like it's rare that you get like hacks and somebody like steps up and says, oh yeah, that was me that did all these terrible things. Unless of course they want money. But in some cases there's not money involved. You're just doing something terrible to like mess with the system or mess with people or whatever else is going on. It's nuts, man. You're absolutely right with that it kind of removes the accountability from the equation. And you could even shrug your shoulders and say, well, we just had a glitch that we fixed now. It's been resolved, right? And that's no accountability again. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty nuts.
Right. And they can even take accountability for the most simple of simple things. And I mean, we've witnessed that numerous times in the last couple of years. And nothing will change. It just gives them more anonymity and the ability to play the blame game and, ruin other people's credibility through malfeasance that they create through hacking, Insane.
Exactly. Real quick too, I don't know if you've seen this, but from WikiLeaks, there's a leak from this. This is where this idea comes from with the CIA, right? And they have something called the Embedded Development Branch, the EDB. I've got the document up, but the links are in the description, of course. I'll drop it in the chat for you when you pop back in there, and you can check it out as well. But this is like notes from a meeting they had back on October 23rd, 2014. And wouldn't you know it, it says potential mission areas for EDB. And again, Embedded Development Branch. It has firmware targets, Internet of Things, including Weeping Angel engineering notes. And Weeping Angel, I looked into that, and that's actually hacking smart TVs. And they have right here, the third thing on the damn list, it says vehicle systems. It's like, yep. I was like, oh, oops, maybe there's something to this.
Yep, I totally believe it. And like I said, when Millie went into detail, I mean, she goes pretty deep on this stuff, and she's been digging it for a while. And I consider her fairly credible. And she got into all this, and I mean, the paper trail for the connections is totally there. I mean, it's, obviously not the connection that they were at fault, but that it is totally a legitimate possibility. And, and then just knowing, that guy in his whistleblower status and, just what he knew, I mean, that's par for the course.
Yeah, it seems like some of it tracks, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this then. Well, I got you on the phone. Would you get in a car without a driver?
Hell no. I don't even like other people driving me. I got my dad is about the only person I trust driving because he drives like a slow old man, and he drives slow. Otherwise, I don't like anybody else driving me. Not anybody. No kids, no friends, no parents, no siblings. I don't like other people driving. Period. Definitely not an AI car.
Definitely not a robot.
Doesn't have a driver.
All right, no Johnny Cab for you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. What else you got for us tonight, my man?
That's about it, man. Just that caught my ear, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Yep.
There might be something.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate the call. Thanks for being part of the chat. Thanks for calling. You're the best. Talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Take care, you too.
Thanks a lot. That's 416 Cubes over there on Rockfin. Good stuff. He's always in the chat, adding some amazing things that we do talk about from time to time because we're reading the chat. I'm reading the chat in all the places. So what are your thoughts here? Did you know about this WikiLeaks thing, the Embedded Development Branch from the CIA? Literally, the meeting notes, they have the third thing, vehicle systems. Something named VSEP. I tried to find out what that was, and I couldn't. So it's probably something that's not public or common knowledge. I'll probably give it that. So what are your thoughts here? Again, we're talking about this AI cars, all right? And again, AI-enhanced killer cars is what I said, but of course it's more clickbait sensationalism because, well, Killer Cars is a great Radiohead song. I just couldn't help myself. So love to hear your thoughts on this. If a driverless car pulls up after you order like an Uber or a taxi or whatever, are you getting in? And how much do you trust this type of stuff? 702-957-1037 will put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's go to Jay Winch in Texas. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Well, hey, that was actually the quickest I ever got to talk. So I don't know what's went on with the show. I was running bathwater for life and stuff like that. You know, you got to take care of home. But the whole AI car stuff, people didn't realize that, or I mean, probably a lot of people watch the show do, but Tesla has the ability to shut your car off. They don't people don't realize that. And there's a big push for all cars being electric and automated. So if they don't want you to go somewhere, or if you've traveled too far, they shut your car off. But at the same time, think of a hacker. One of the Fast and Furious, where that one chick hacked a car, or a bunch of them, and chased somebody down to kill him. Like, it's a whole crazy possibility. And yeah, no, there's no way I'd get in a car that has that kind of technology ever. I would walk to where I need to go, ride a bike, anything. I will never, ever, ever have any kind of AI in my vehicle that tells me how to drive, or could actually drive for me.
Yeah, I don't like it. I have a friend of mine he had a car. I'm not sure if he still has it, but he was saying that when you're driving on the freeway with this thing, it like wrestles you for the steering wheel. Like if you kind of have to go out of the lane for a little bit, because let's say there's an obstruction in the road, and you do that, it will try and put you back in the lane. And he's like, I'm wrestling with the steering wheel with this damn thing. It's like got a mind of its own, and that should creep you out. That creeps me out. I'd be like, hell no.
Yeah, it's true. I've actually dealt with that. I had to put my vehicle in the car. I had hail damage, and they gave me a Ford Explorer with a lane assist. And I'm in an area with construction, and I'm trying to keep myself from running into a wall because it's following the white dashed lines, and it wanted to steer into the wall. So I had to literally fight the steering wheel to stay in a lane to prevent myself getting in an accident. So yes, that technology is trash, and anybody, I'm telling you right now, buy something old right now before it's outlawed, because there's already a push to have all vehicles to where they're tracked. They can be shut down at any time for police reasons in case somebody's running from the law enforcement by 2026. Yeah, and also that they can run a breathalyzer anytime they want. Like, oh, no, pull over, do a breathalyzer. To me, it don't bother me because I'm not going to drink and drive. But still, the fact that they could say, pull over, do this. And then, oh, wait, what if you got a fake positive? Now you're stuck in wherever they want you to be stuck.
Yeah, or let's say, for the individuals who have problems with the law, let's say you got an arrest warrant or something, you hop in the car, it does like a facial recognition scan, and then just drives you to the police department. Locks the doors.
Yeah, and you can do nothing about it. It locks you in. Like, that reminds me of the movie I, Robot. And it also, like I said, it leads right into that Fast and Furious movie where the one female hacked into a bunch of cars and tried killing somebody and everything else. So
this stuff is real. I got evidence. We're going to talk about that next. That actual people hacking cars. We'll get to that shortly. What else you got for us tonight? So you're not getting in one of those cars. Anything else you got for us regarding this idea? And what about the CIA? You think they're definitely doing this stuff?
CIA, FBI are both supposedly government entities, just like the Federal Reserve, but they don't have to answer to the government. So technically, they're not government entities. We could have a whole conversation for hours about the alphabet gang. I'll just leave that one alone. But my last word, if you don't have a garden, or you don't know how to garden, this would be the year to learn.
All right. Start growing a garden. Fantastic advice.
Okay, there you go. I mean, the show goes all over the place. And that's my thoughts. Because you ever been to the grocery store in the last couple of months?
It's not like it used to be.
Have.
Yep. It's not.
And you see the prices?
Yep.
So, food wars are coming.
All right. Appreciate
All right. Well,
the
yeah,
call.
I'll let you get back to your show, man. And I'm going to listen in. Like I said, I didn't know what you talked about earlier, but give you a quick little tidbit, and people can expand on like 15 different things I mentioned about. So
Perfect. Sounds good. You're the best. Jay Winch in Texas. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night. Thank you for the phone call.
Yep. Talk to you later.
All right, there you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. We got Joseph here. I'm going to do this real quick. Actually, let's wait till the bottom of the hour. I got some sound clips, but let's give Joseph is calling in. We'll put him right on the phone. So the question tonight is this, right? As we do this, you're wherever you're at. Again, in San Francisco, they're actually testing these cars, right? And it began with this idea that on the Verge.com, the cops pulled over this self-driving car that's called a Cruise, right? And they didn't know, how to interact with it. It didn't have its lights on. The police pulled it over. It pulled over. The cop tried to open the door and couldn't. And then the car drove off. The little self-driving car drove away to get itself in a better, more safe spot. So it starts to make you wonder, right? If these things have minds of their own, which we'll get to as well. So I got some proof that this stuff can be done. And not only that, you don't have to be the CIA to be able to pull this off. So we'll get to that exact evidence momentarily. But before we do that, looking to hear your thoughts on this idea of these automated self-driving AI cars. Are you getting in one if it pulls up because you ordered an Uber or whatever? And, how deep do you think this rabbit hole goes with hacking and maybe clandestine actual assassinations with things like this? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead. Joseph in Iowa, are you there? Test 1, 2. I do not hear you, my friend. Test. Are you there?
Hello?
I hear you kind of now. Try again, please.
Hello?
Gotcha. Go right ahead. What's up, Joseph? You're on Troubled Minds.
So I have kind of like a theory that they're going to switch AI from like technology and computers to it's going to be like more of an organic, like an organic technology. I don't know like how they're going to do it, but it's definitely going to be, or I don't know, definitely like they could probably do it with a computer too, but like, I think, I don't know. I don't know why I think that. Like, I just think AI is going to be human. Like a human machine.
Yeah.
Maybe like a hive in a way.
Yeah, we're going to get to that next as well. So at the bottom of the hour here, we'll get to some evidence regarding how all this stuff does work now currently, not even that years ago, but also that what if, again, if AI has sentience at some point, where's it going to drive us? That's the next question. Like you get in the car, like Matt said in the chat, it's like a roller coaster. Once you hop in, well, it's going to take you where it's going to take you, isn't it?
Yeah, and like you're definitely going to have to check that terms and conditions like you do on your phone every time it updates or whatever. And it probably, like you said on the last call, it won't let you out the car a lot of times. Like you're in a traffic jam, something happens, like 70 of them get derailed that doesn't show up on the news or something. And you're just at a pause. You're like, what happened up there? And it won't let you out of the vehicle. Like, I could see a lot of people freaking out and not liking that either.
Yeah, no, and again, like I'm not trying to break windows to get out of the damn thing, but I'm not going to be stuck in the damn thing either, you know? So it's like, what do you do? Then you're liable for the damage? I mean, they got you. I mean, clearly they're going to have like a 360-degree camera there, so they know you broke the window, right? I mean, but then the thing's got you trapped. I don't know. Like we're literally heading to a world that is dystopia is probably a generous way to call it. I think it's probably going to be worse than that. Yeah, pretty terrifying stuff. Have you ever actually driven in a car?
Definitely.
Go ahead.
In a self-driving car? No.
Yeah. No,
I've driven in new cars that like you don't have to steer, but they don't completely self-drive. I haven't been in a Tesla.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So what do you think? Where's this heading then? And what about the CIA stuff? Do you think that they're taking control of cars and like randomly killing people? Maybe not randomly. Let's say targeted assassinations type stuff by taking things over like this?
Yeah, there's a movie or there's a Netflix series about that, and the guy, and it's about the future. He has an idea that will like completely like ruin this other guy's idea, who's already like Warren Buffett of like the future. And he mysteriously, his automated car that goes like super fast just smashes into the back of something, like no brakes. And he ends up in the afterlife, because in the future you have an afterlife. They program, like you can buy your way into this computer simulation and stuff. It's a whole series where it all starts in the beginning, where the guy dies from I don't know what it's called though. It's kind of.
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, I could see that definitely. I mean, I don't know though. I mean, there's so many. That is a good way to take someone out though, isn't it? Make it look like an accident, and you could do it all like car accidents. You like, I don't know if you guys have billboards where you drive, but it'll be like listing the number of people who died this year.
Yep, we got them here too.
Where I'm at.
Yep, we got them here too.
Yeah, you'd just be another number on the list, really.
Yeah, just a statistic, as they say, right? Yeah, 100%. What else you got, man? We got like maybe a minute left for you.
Yeah, basically the organic switch, like, I think it would be big. I watched another thing. It was about like this Nazi decoding thing, how they had to make the Turing machine or something, I think it's called. Because the guy's last name is Turing, so I'm guessing they named it after him. And it can solve codes that update, like, it's like a combination code with 190 million chances. And it updates every day. And that machine can decode messages out of this machine that the Nazis were sending, like, coordinates to. And it's one of the reasons we won the war. But like machines like that, I think would be harder to make. Like you can't hack organic.
I see what you're saying.
Each machine would be sentient, running on its own hive.
I see what you're saying. We're out of time, my friend. We'll get to that idea another night. It's a fantastic idea. You're the best, Joseph. I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Have a great one. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. Does some original music and other things. Give him some love. 702-957-1037. Talking about these killer cars. I got some exact specific examples when we come back. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're taking your phone calls as always as we discuss this idea of autonomous vehicles. If you order an Uber, a Lyft, whatever, and some car rolls up without a driver, are you getting in? I have a conspiracy show, so you're hell no, I won't go. I'm not doing it. I'm not so sure that they don't have facial recognition built into these cameras, and they know exactly who I am. So my answer is hell no, I'm not going. What is your thought on this? And by the way, again, so what kind of started this idea was this the supposed assassination of one Michael Hastings. And they say that in the conspiracy realm, and again, some people say there's absolutely no evidence to back this up. Again, 416 Cube said that I can't remember, was it Millie? I can't remember her name on InfoWars, had done some actual legwork on this and said that, yeah, it was very, very possible and even probable that this went down as some sort of assassination against a whistleblower. But here's some examples. Again, look and hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. But listen to this. This was done by Wired.com back in July of 2015. July 2015. Listen listen to this. And this is exactly what they were doing in 2015. Remember, it's 2022 now. And so things change and things become more automated. They put more chips and computers and things like this in cars now. But let's hear what they were trying to do. They set this up as a hacking exercise to prove exactly what we're talking about, that this could be done. Listen to this.
It's not fun to have your 2-ton SUV's brakes hacked just as you're parking in front of a ditch.
Okay, hold on tight. Hold on. Oh,
That's what I've learned from Charlie Miller and Chris Valasek, a pair of hackers who have spent the last year developing a piece of software that can wirelessly sabotage this 2014 Jeep Cherokee. It hasn't been altered in any way. There are no devices attached to it. But like many thousands of Jeeps around the world, it can be remotely hacked over the internet through a cellular connection to its entertainment system that would allow someone to take over its steering, its transmission, and even its brakes. To demonstrate that, I'm going to act as today's crash test dummy and drive it on the highway here in St. Louis, while Charlie and Chris hijack its digital systems from Charlie's house miles away. They wouldn't tell me what they had planned, but they assured me that it wouldn't be anything life-threatening.
Remember, Andy, no matter what happens, don't panic.
It's not the first time I've driven a car while it's being attacked by these two hackers. But in 2013, they were in the back seat, and their laptops were wired into the vehicle through a port in its dashboard. Now they're sending the same sort of attacks remotely, and I have no idea what they might do.
He's going as fast as I've seen him, So first we're going to turn the fan on him. Yeah, let's turn the fan on, see if he even notices.
Okay, there's your perfect example, right? Imagine in the summer, it's hot as blazes and your air conditioner shuts off and the heater turns on, and you cannot override it. Right? That's a minor annoyance, except maybe here in Vegas, it might kill you because it's 115 degrees out here, right? So if you kill the AC and turn the heater on, it may not be the only thing you're killing, right? So they start by turning his fan on. He's driving down the highway in St. Louis. They just turn the fan on. He's like, what the hell? Here we go. Here's part 2 of this. Again, links in the description if you want to check out the full video. This is just the audio from that video. It's super short. But here's part 2. So they turn the fan on, right? Which means, of course, they can control all of those things remotely. And this is just 2 guys and a laptop, right? 2 guys, a laptop, and a bad attitude. Not a state-sponsored hacking machine or the CIA or anything like that. 2 dudes, a laptop, and a bad attitude hacking a Jeep. Here's part 2.
All right, something just turned on, all the fans and AC and stuff. I didn't do that. The trick started small. Oh my God. There's a picture of Charlie and Chris in tracksuits that just appeared on the dashboard. But as I drove down the interstate, things started getting unpleasant and very loud. Perfect. I can't turn it down.
This was such a fun video. Steve, I'll kick it off to Jordan.
Now the air conditioning is blasting, the music is blasting, and I can't see anything because of the windshield wiper fluid.
Okay, do it. Do it. Kill the engine. So we're killing the engine right now.
It says park sense. Actually can't accelerate it. I stomped on the gas, but the Jeep slowed to a crawl. It says 43 miles an hour, but I'm not going that fast. I turned on my hazard lights, but I was still stuck in the right lane with no shoulder to escape onto. Guys, I'm stuck on the highway.
What did he say? Oh, I think he's panicking. He's not going to be able to hear us with that radio. It's so loud.
Guys, I need the accelerator to work again.
The accelerator will work. It won't work! You're doomed.
Seriously, it's dangerous. I need to move.
You gotta turn the car off!
Okay.
Now you should be good to go.
All right, you see what they did. So they jacked up the music, they turned on the fan, so they have full access to the climate control of the vehicle. So in the summer, they could, again, in the winter, they could turn on the air conditioner. In the summer, they could turn on the heater, right? They can do, they pump up the music and you can't override it. This thing could be so loud, like you're like splitting your ears, because you guys know some of these sound systems are ridiculous in these cars. And then what are they doing? They're just constantly pumping fluid, windshield wiper fluid to just, and and the wipers are going like crazy, so it's like this big soapy mess. He can't see, right? So literally, they haven't done anything yet in terms of moving the steering wheel, hitting the brake, anything like that, which apparently they can't do. And then they're like, ha 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 ha, let's kill the engine now. Dude's on the freeway, music's blasting, the fan turns on by itself. He's got the heads-up display, the infotainment system in this Jeep, and it's showing pictures of these two hackers on the thing, and then they're like, let's kill the engine, and they do. And so the guy's on the freeway, and when you're watching the video, he is not in a safe spot for that engine to be killed. There's no shoulder, right? It's like a construction zone, so they've moved, like completely taken the shoulder off, and they've got like a concrete barrier right next to him. He can't go anywhere, and the accelerator is no longer working. He's like getting slower and slower. Cars around him are like honking at him and swerving and stuff. It is ugly, right? And it's like, oh, and this is just two guys, a laptop, and a bad attitude, right? Not a state-sponsored hacking system. So, and this is, again, don't forget, this was back in 2015, and this is done by Wired. Again, links in the description. Check it out. All right, here's part 3 of this. So then he's freaking out. He can't really see because of the windshield wiper stuff going nuts. He's freaking out because he's now the accelerator's not working. He's slowing down. He's causing literally almost a dangerous traffic situation. He can't pull off because there's no shoulder. He's screwed, right? Absolutely screwed. Here's part 3.
Semi drove by. All right, I'm gonna pull over because I have PTSD. Charlie and Chris have only tested the full range of their attacks on a Jeep Cherokee, but they say that hundreds of thousands of late model Chrysler vehicles may be vulnerable through a feature called Uconnect, an internet-connected computer in the dashboard known as its head unit.
These cars' head units expose a particular service that probably they didn't want to. It lets you do things like query it for information like the GPS or the VIN or all sorts of other things, but it also lets you just run commands.
So you have to first break into the car remotely over the cell network and then move laterally if you want to do things like send CAN messages. And those are the messages that we can use to control things like steering or the windshield wipers or braking.
They plan to release a portion of their exploit code at the annual Black Hat Hacker Conference next month. They've also alerted Chrysler, which is issuing a security patch. But they say a lot more needs to be done to protect a new generation of cars that are increasingly connected to the internet and potentially hackable.
Okay, all right. So then they basically, again, two guys, a laptop, some know-how, and a bad attitude, and they're hacking this guy. Again, he volunteered for it, but they didn't modify anything. They didn't add anything additional to the car. They're hacking this Jeep on the freeway remotely from miles away. Okay, and again, taking control in the sense of they killed the engine. Again, they blasted the stereo. They got climate control. Again, like they said, Ronald, I think, said over in the chat, or somebody in the chat, they can lock the windows, right? Do the child locks, and you can't roll down the window, lock the doors. I mean, they could do all this stuff to you, and this is exactly what could happen. And don't forget, this is 2015, done by Wired.com. So here we go. Now, this is part 4.
You guys basically brought this car to a standstill while I was driving on the highway, which I may never forgive you for. And that was just like an experiment. What do you think is the worst case scenario?
We wanted to point out, to show that this attack has serious consequences for this vehicle. And so we did, attack you. But we did it in as safe a way as we could, so we didn't want you to get hurt, obviously. That's why we're working, is to make sure that we figure out vulnerabilities, weaknesses, get them fixed.
We're only two guys with one car, right? So, we can't look at every car, and we want to release this information because more people like us need to be focused on this problem.
After their stunt on the highway, Chris and Charlie still wanted to show me a couple of other tricks. Below a certain speed, they can control the Jeep steering as long as it's in reverse, pop its locks, mess with the speedometer, and, of course, disable the brakes.
Okay, hold on tight. Hold on. Oh,
He's not getting out of that.
I don't think so.
We're going to be doing some pushing.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. That's how you drive in the Midwest. New Yorkers don't know how to do that.
So, yeah, hear what they said. Disable the brakes. Disable the brakes. Right, so they can basically do everything to this car. They did it remotely. This is a Jeep. This was back in 2014, I believe I said. 2014, 2015. July 21st of 2015 is when this video went up on YouTube. And so the question becomes, right? There's a whole lot here that is just absolutely wild. And if you can do this with two dudes, a laptop, a little bit of know-how, and a bad attitude, what do you think they're doing from the state-sponsored level? I mean, you got to admit that this is extremely possible, and this was a long time ago. Exactly, Matt's got it right. Disable the brakes, there it is. And that's all you'd have to do. Wait till they get on the freeway, you disable the brakes, and boom, right? And then if it's a hack, you're not going to, like, the post-mortem of the vehicle will be, the brakes work fine, like mechanically everything's fine, except no, they disabled it remotely through a hack. You see, there's a problem here. There's a serious problem with this. So what are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. But there's proof, absolute proof that this stuff is 100% real. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Let's go to Algorithm. Mike in Colorado, welcome to Troubled Minds. Are you there? Test 1, 2.
Well, my friend, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I think this is a great conversation. I think it's something very important. And it comes down to our relationship with technology, from my viewpoint. I remember back in 2015, 2016, I saw these things, I shared them with people, and they scratched their heads and they said, you know what? No problem. No, I don't have that car. I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm not worried about my car killing me. And fast forward to a place where technology is so pervasive that the people that, generally speaking, the people that own a smartphone and don't know anything about coding don't understand what that smartphone is doing.
Yeah, it is a surveillance device at the very least. But you're absolutely right. This is exactly the problem we have. And you said it exactly right. Our relationship with technology. And it changes. Like, you think maybe 5 years ago it was okay. It wasn't. But right now, what about 5 years from now? This stuff is changing fast, and it's like they're saying. I don't know if this is true, but they're saying over there on Rockfin that there's an omnibus bill that's happening where they're supposed to have kill switches in cars by 2026 or something like this. Every new manufactured car. I didn't look into all that, but I mean, once the state starts meddling and getting involved in all this stuff, that's not a happy place. This is not a good thing.
No, and we're allowing it, and I don't think we're intentionally allowing it, but we are doing it out of convenience. We want to have that application on our smartphone. We want to be able to connect with people, and it's a backdoor sneak attack on the minds of men and women. I mean, absolutely. I saw that bill where they are going to have kill switches on automobiles, and people that, yeah, but it's not my car, and I have a 2007 or whatever. The hard part, I think, for people is the responsibility piece. So if you literally have a smartphone right now, you are locked into their matrix. And if you're fine with that, good, do it. More power to you. Who am I to judge anybody? But if you see these things, like these stories about these cars, and you're a little bit afraid, the smartest thing you could ever do is throw out your smartphone.
There you go. So the smartphone, the clue is in the name. Smart, throw it away. That's always been the joke. Frank and I, way back, the original co-host of the show, he said throw it in a lake. But don't do that. But it was just kind of the joke, right? Because you'll pollute the lake. at least put it somewhere where you're not going to destroy anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. What about these cars? Are you going to get in one of these things? I'm pretty sure you're not the type of guy that's driving a car like this, are you?
Oh, no, sir. I have a manual transmission with windows that I have to roll up. There's very little technology. The Cirrus thing they wanted to give me for free when I bought it, I'm like, no thanks. And they send me an email and like, do you want to have Sirius Radio? I'm like, nope. I actually own a flip phone, literally. So I am not anti-technology. I love technology, but I understand how it's going to run me if I let it.
100%, exactly, and like you said too, it's knowing these things are real. I mean, you can say it's a conspiracy theory about this Michael Hastings and the CIA and all the rest of this, but literally, Wired proved in 2015, Wired magazine, that with a laptop and some know-how, You can do this now. You could do it then. I mean, it's not a stretch to say the CIA could pull off something like this. Clearly they could, but the question becomes, would they? Right? You don't have to answer that. But so that's the food for thought, right? That's where this becomes sort of the government gets involved and starts doing, demanding this and that and the other thing. And like you said, if we don't know about it, this stuff happens, and then it's locked in. Once these bills pass, they're never going to repeal this stuff. Once it's in, what do they say? There's no such thing, no such permanence as a temporary government bill, right? There's something to that effect, right? It's true. Like, you never get rid of it. That's the whole point. And they slip it through and don't tell us, and then, nobody publicizes it because no, they should not have kill switches on our cars. I'm sorry. This should not be a thing. But nobody's talking about it. What are we talking about? Everything else, aren't we?
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, when you look at the Michael Hastings story, if you have dissected the video and seen the car hit the tree did not cause the accident. The drone probably did. And that's one example of a relatively powerful person in media who got to a thing where the government's like, oh, no, thank you. I think when I look at it, the more I can stay out of their systems, the more healthy I will be, the better off I will be able to enjoy my life and meet friends and meet you and meet all the people in chat and everybody on your show. And if I get too deep into it, then I am not going to have that option.
Because you become the prisoner, the digital prisoner, don't you? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty
And
wild.
I think one thing I love about your show tonight is that people can kind of reminisce and remember, oh, I never saw this story. Well, if you never saw the story, then you're going to be susceptible, right? And we don't want anybody who's listening or anybody who loves Michael Strange and Troubled Minds, we don't want to be victims. We want to be empowered. We want to have knowledge. We want to be as best we can in charge of our own stuff. And if we're not, then, they're going to be.
Control your mind, or someone else will control it for you. I think you said that in the chat last week, right?
I did say that in the chat last week. It's something I live by. I appreciate your show. I got to tell you, I'm going to go because you got this thing. And thank you for having me on.
Pleasure's mine. Algorithm, Mike in Colorado, thanks for the phone call. I appreciate it very much. He's got a YouTube channel called Algorithm. Links in the description. Scroll down, give him a follow. Thanks for chiming in here. And I think he's right. I think he's right about all that. Is that you got to ask yourself, what is our relationship with technology? And not only that, at some point, is there really the point of no return, right? At which are we already there is the question. Because look, if we're going to talk about meddling with the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, for you internationals that don't know what that is, and yes, it is true that if you go to the DMV, because I've been asked this by international friends of mine, they saw it on South Park, that if you go to the DMV, do you really wait in line for hours and hours and hours? Yes. Yeah, the answer is yes. Right? You can make an appointment these days, but or do some stuff online. But yeah, it used to be that literally you would spend hours at the DMV in line, right? And it's still kind of like that. It just depends on the day and whatnot. But yeah, definitely. But so the question becomes, right, when you start monkeying with kill switches and bills and government mandates and things like this, right? And let's say you're like, I've got like a 1996 pickup truck. There was not that technology didn't exist then. They're not going to shut my car down. Well, what happens when they sort of retro and make you have to register your car, or it's not like street legal, right? Remember, like, all the control is not in your lap. It's in the lap of these lawmakers that seem to think that we're going to roll over to every single thing, and I don't think so. But you have to know about it, don't you? You have to know about it to be able to say, no, we don't want this. And that's the whole game. That's the entire point of this, is they sort of want to obfuscate what they're doing or not tell us. And it's not good. This is not good. And even so, let's say it's public and you're like, no, Mike, you can go look this stuff up and all the rest. And you're right. You definitely can. Okay. But notice what the media is talking about. They're not talking about anything like that. They're blocking for the political class. The media class is blocking for the political class. The money is flowing between that unholy union, and they're not telling us the things that we need to know, because the things we need to know are exactly like that omnibus bill. I don't know about it. Again, just hearing it for the first time. Robert said it in the chat there. I should know about this, right? I'm on the game most of the time here, and I missed it. And that's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. So you tell me, as we go, and we're winding down to get off the fringe here, but this stuff is important. It's important being engaged and locked into what's happening around us. And that's what a troubled mind is. Just like Algo said there, it's not about being a victim. It's about taking charge of that and empowering yourself to not become a victim. Because, right, given if you don't use your mind, somebody else will. If you don't control it, somebody else will control it for you. And it's to me, it's not acceptable. You know me. I like to think for myself. And you know what, by the way, don't be afraid to think for yourself, because you're going to be wrong. It's part of thinking for yourself. You're going to be wrong. But look, in a world where it's unapologetic for being wrong, no, like you can be wrong, and it's okay. It's a right we have. We have the right to be wrong, and that's what this has always been about, this show and all these conversations. So as we get down to this, I don't know, what do you think, right? As always, I don't have the answers here. Answers are easy to me, and they're, in many cases, propaganda. And I do say, I kind of go the long way around, and I talk about things in ambiguous ways sometimes, intentionally. And I know it's like, come on, Mike, cut to the chase, get to the point, things like this. You could. I could tell you exactly what I think all the time, but I think it's less healthy. Like, let's talk about some of these things and look at some of the evidence that has already been presented. It's out there. It's just never been highlighted, or isn't currently and constantly being highlighted. And I think that's one of the important things about Troubled Minds and getting us together and talking about this stuff. So there we go. So as we finish, as you know, it goes a little something like this. If you're listening to us, actually, let's play this real quick. Imagine this. Imagine you hop in a self-driving car. You get in. You're like, this will be fine. It's your first time. And you hear something like this just before we finish.
It's not a real voice. This box just interprets signals from the computer and turns them into sound.
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
I think I missed them.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love to. How about global thermonuclear war?
Wouldn't you prefer a good game of chess?
Later, let's play global thermonuclear war.
Fine.
All right.
We're in. Imagine something like that. You hop in the self-driving car and it starts speaking to you in that sort of voice and says something similar. Would you like to play a game? Yep, no thanks. Not doing it. All right, we're done. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we got tomorrow. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. All right, third hour of Troubled Minds coming up, and you know what that means. Third hour is for you. Like I said, a couple hours is for me on the radio, and to make sure that we kind of lay the groundwork of what this conversation is. Of course, we share that first couple hours. Third hour is literally yours. So let's take this where you want. What about that war games? Remember that? Shall we play a game? Remember that? Now, what if, let's take it to the next level. What if you have an AI that goes rogue? What if somehow, some way, just like Algorithm said, control your mind or someone else will? How about AI controlling its own mind? What if it doesn't? What if it can? What if it can be hacked? What the hell is really going on? And like 416 Cube said when he called earlier, hey, it removes all liability. You can always just say, oh, it was a glitch and now we fixed it. You can always say, oh, it was hacked by some non-discriminate, non-determined person hacker somewhere else in the world, outside of the bounds of justice, right? Oh, really? Okay, sure. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at Troubled Minds. Love to hear your thoughts. How do we go? Where do we go? You tell me. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. More Troubled Minds on the way. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And this is where we get together and just talk. It's no radio breaks from here on out. We just go, and unless I need to hit the men's room, which happens from time to time, I do drink a lot of maybe juice. And tonight, maybe juice is water, and what goes up must come down. So another hour. You guys tell me what are your thoughts on this? At some point, I think algorithm is completely locked in to it depends on our relationship with technology, right? Not just our personal relationship, but then that's how we control it, right? But then also, what about the relationship regarding society and society's relationship and the government's relationship with technology? It's a lot here. And again, let's go to AI. And what if AI does go rogue? And that's a little bit more in line with, if only Derek were here. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. What's up, brother? Are you there? Welcome to Troubled Minds.
What's going on, brother? It's a great show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm sure you got some thoughts here. You gonna hop in a self-driving car, or is that a double hell no from you?
I don't know. It depends. Part of me loves to drive. I'm just a big driver. I'm very comfortable behind the wheel. I love driving around. But also part of me imagines the future of self-driving cars, like the utopia version of it, like the really ideal version of it, where cars basically become like little transportable living rooms where I'm just basically just lamping, just hanging around in my own little personal, like on a sofa with a TV going. I'm just I'm smoking. I'm just hanging out in this car that chauffeurs me around. You know, that's the perfect version. That's the nice version. But what's most likely going to happen is you're going to get in this car, and we've been talking about what really is AI. Shut out Bailey. But is it a demon? You know, so we're talking ghost in the machine. What about ghost in the engine? You know, demon in the engine. I'm surprised James hasn't called in, because Stephen King really hits these hard with Maximum Overdrive and Christine and everything. The idea of a car going haywire on you. I don't know. A demon in the car is not ideal, to say the least. For sure.
No, and I thought we'd get here. I've got this article from CNET that goes back years again. So interesting that we've got this. Wired did this thing in 2015 with hacking the car. I found all the way back in 2014, a headline from CNET, Elon Musk says, "We are summoning the demon with artificial intelligence." I thought that would I thought that would be right down our alley. What do you think?
Exactly. There's I searched demon self-driving car like a minute ago, and this something from 2017, this this artist made some kind of art installation or some kind of project where he basically just took a car and put it in a parking lot and poured a big circle of salt around it, and he calls it like auto trap or whatever, or like he puts one solid line and one dash line or whatever, like the lines on the road with a sign on the car inviting you in, and then a sign on the line saying "Don't cross the line, demon, beware," or whatever. Basically, this is like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Commenting on the fact that demons might be entering the car if we actually turn the AI. If we give this, I don't know. I feel like we've just talked so much about what are we setting free on the internet. What are we actually encountering here on the internet, and putting the internet in the car like this. It's the same exact conversation, you know. And then it gets even kind of more like metaphysical and kind of woo-y with people's relationship with cars already. There already is this weird personification, like anthropomorphization of vehicles. People name their cars. People love their cars. Car people are like very, very close to the cars. So imagine somebody, I've never actually seen or read Christine, so if this is the plot of Christine, excuse me, but like, what if some big car guy like gets this huge bond with his car, and then actually like begins to fall in love with the AI, with the car, if the car can start talking back to you, like Siri inside your vehicle that you already love, kind of like Joaquin Phoenix and Her, where he falls in love with the Siri thing, and then so you're being chauffeured around then by this like AI demon thing that has this weird infatuation with you. And imagine all the scenarios where you're trying to go places and it's like it realizes you're going to go over to your actual like human girlfriend's house and it doesn't let you. Whoa, you're cheating on me, Michael? You can't. I won't take you to her house. Like yada yada. So that kind of nightmare scenario where just putting an intelligence inside this giant death trap. I said it in the chat earlier, but that Cruise brand self-driving car, as soon as that thing gets in an accident or rams into some kind of building, the headline's going to be Cruise car becomes a cruise missile. You're just driving around in these metal bomb things that we could potentially be giving demons the keys to. And then, like, we talk about the idea of these rituals to open portals to let these things in. So what if you do get some kind of sinister demon or something, some entity taking control of the car that doesn't have your best interest in mind, and it requires, in the magic of it, requires a blood sacrifice to open portals. It has now a person, a big blood sack, you, aka you, in the car, and it could just run you right off the road. Boom, and all of a sudden it frees itself from the ashes. A smoke plume, fire comes up from the car that just went over the cliff. And out comes this, like, I don't know.
The genie's out of the bottle.
Thing. Yeah, genie's out of the bottle. I don't know. It's crazy stuff, Mike. Crazy stuff.
That's wild right there. So are you suggesting we should park our car in a circle of salt?
I mean, it might be the new routine. Like, we have like the automatic locks and everything, and then we have the salt we carry around in our pocket, to keep our cars where they are, because when we park them, they might not stay there if we don't make precautions. It's weird. Like, we're basically just giving. It's scary enough to have something, an entity, a consciousness, a potentially sinister consciousness on the internet, and then to keep it in the internet give it wheels. Basically, we're making this thing, whatever this thing is, mobile inside a death trap that we're voluntarily like getting inside. It's pretty crazy, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, a great point there regarding how there is sort of this weird infatuation with people in cars. I've never had that, but like somebody in the chat mentioned Jay Leno, right? And all his like, he's got so many cars. He's got all the cars, exactly. all the cars, the old ones, the new ones, the technology ones, the beaters from the old days that is restored. Like it is. I mean, it's a hobby, sure, but also there is sort of that strangeness to it that we get like connected, right? It's like with your horse of the old days, Trigger.
Exactly. There is some type of bond. Like there is some type of like we have a relationship with of any non-sentient like appliance. A car is the one we have our closest bond with, probably. Like people do name their cars, and like I'm not a huge car guy. Like I love to drive, but I'm just not very knowledgeable when it comes to cars. And I tend to let my car get a little cluttered and stuff. So, and then whenever I clean it, or start to really take care of it, like really like shine it up nice or whatever, it just seems to run better. It seems to be like pleased with me. And this is like, this is a car that doesn't have a demon in it already, but it's just some type of animistic quality that we're imbuing on the car. So just then take that and just like actually give some type of car, like, or give that relationship the added bonus of having the internet plugged into it, or these sigil things, or any kind of metaphysical stuff that's baked into the actual internet itself. And just, I don't know, we don't know. It just seems like a dangerous combination, or a strange brew of emotion, feeling, mixed with internet and this weird techno demon stuff we always talk about. Plus, it's a literal death trap. So it's just a perfect storm of potential disaster. I see James in the chat, so we can bring him in if you want.
Yeah.
Or I see James in the call, whatever.
Yeah. Go ahead. So we got Jennifer online as well.
Okay.
So you can stay there. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. Okay. So the thing is, though, regarding this, it's not like, so if you hack your toaster, like I said, you burn your toast, right? If you hack your refrigerator, you spoil your milk. If you hack your car, you can get killed, right? Like it's not burning your toast here. It is like sort of that ultimate step in, well, if something goes wrong, people die. Not just, are unhappy with their breakfast or whatever, So you're right. It is in that term. I think that it kind of is that final step of really trusting your life with technology, right?
Yeah. And there's we talk about the elites making these deals with these entities on the other side, trying to make arrangements, communicating with something and trying to let these things in. And a lot of the times, this arrangement is based on the fact that these entities cannot manipulate physical reality. It can't move around. It might have all the information if it's something that's on the internet, but it's trapped in there. So now we're making it mobile. We're giving it wheels. We're making it we're basically putting it in this tank. It's like if a car was an animal, and we were living in this concrete jungle, it would be more of a predator than we are. If it wanted to hurt us, it could hurt us badly. And then the fact that we're actually going in it, I don't know. So if some crazy disaster happens, if some terrorist attack happens, or some crazy thing happens, the conspiracy theorists, the synchromystics, they go after: was it a ritual? Was it some kind of blood sacrifice by who knows what? And then now all of a sudden, anytime that happens with a self-driving car, you immediately have to think about that. Was it now whatever this entity is that's controlling the car now has access and is able to hurt a person on their own? They don't need any human conduit. They don't need any human avatar or henchman to do their dirty work for them. Where do car deaths, car fatalities rank yearly on the yearly fatality list? It has to be pretty high up there. And now if AI/demons can now control that whole process, and if blood sacrifice is a thing that might allow them to gain power or gain traction in our reality, we're allowing them to have that now. I don't know. It's scary stuff. I'm rambling. I'll let Jennifer and James come on, but I'll probably stick around. Great show, Mike.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Great call as always. So the crazy, also in the next step, right? That's terrifying enough by itself. But then also we have, let's say, once you get, and I've said this before in the past, but once you get a sort of the majority of vehicles on the road that are able to be hacked like this, then we're talking about from a national security aspect, one person with a laptop can take over an entire network of vehicles and make everybody turn right at the same time and just cause an unbelievable. Can you imagine LA traffic at 5 p.m. or just before it backs up when everybody's kind of trying to squeak in and get home at maybe 4 o'clock or something? Everybody's speeding and then everything just turns right because somebody on a laptop said to do it. I mean, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's sick. Not just in terms of the individual, but then on a larger scale, this can get ugly super fast. Right on. I appreciate it, my friend. What's your comment on that? And then we'll go to Jennifer.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. I mean, the human aspect of it is scary enough. The fact that we're giving our autonomy over to something else. We're putting our hands. Driving is not. It's very, very fun. Driving is great, but it's it is dangerous. Obviously, sometimes when you're driving down the road, somebody when I was a kid, somebody mentioned when you're driving down the road, do you ever think about all it would take is just for you to turn the wheel 2 inches and you just head on collision into one car driving behind you, and you're just so close to just a real bad accident at any point when you're driving, and it's just whoa, that really is true. You really are very close to danger when you're on the road. We don't realize that we're so comfortable in it, and then now we're giving all of that power, all of that I don't know. We're putting that in the hands of another person. Maybe a person that doesn't like us. Maybe a person that might want to get rid of us, get us off the podcast circuit, like you're saying, or even worse, something non-human, something some type of sinister AI that we create, or worse, some type of weird demon, some kind of ghost in the machine type deal. I don't know. I'm rambling, but great stuff, Mike. Awesome show.
Appreciate it, man. Night Stalker here. Everybody knows the Night Stalker. You can find him. He's got a YouTube channel. Links in the description down below. Derek in Massachusetts. Fantastic stuff. Stay right there if you can. We'll get to James in just a sec. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead, my friend.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, I mean, you have, like Derek mentioned, the good evening. You have the Christine scenario, Stephen King, and you have the maximum overdrive. You have that whole scenario that it could become possessed by an entity. In addition to that, you have the weaponization of vehicles lately. With I've seen it several times. I think everybody has, where people are using the car as a weapon to knock out like a vast amount of people. It's horrific. So to even consider the idea of transferring power over to an AI, it's absurd. It really does sound ridiculous. And we don't have any need for it. But beyond that, I can see that there's a thing there going on. I don't know. Everybody's probably heard of the sovereign citizen movement, and I've heard them mention that they talk about, the freedom to travel across the land. And if you think back in time in the United States, just in the United States, I'm not sure about the laws everywhere else, but because I haven't studied much into that, nor this, but I'm fairly aware of the idea that you could freely go across state lines into any county, into any city, and travel as you like. And I think that this actually, it's become a joke now with that sovereign citizen movement, even though it is your own, legal given rights. I'm not for it. I don't know much about it. But to consider the idea that now there's another entity of some kind that's deciding where you can go, how, and how fast you'll get there, or just giving over that little more freedom of who's taking you where and where you can go. And, if you can go there, because the idea that this could be run by an AI, it could decide if you can go where you're wanting to go, or it could take you somewhere you don't want to go. And I made a joke about it in the chat room about the movie Seven. That's an individual, that's a little person driving the taxi cab. It's like a death cab. But if you think about the idea that this thing could drive you anywhere it wants, to you it could literally, mean symbolically, even if you were, I have no idea, but it could take you where you don't want to go, or it could enforce on you something. It could change your, imagine turning over your whole, it's a big deal. Every little choice we make about what we're going to do every single time, every moment of our lives is incredibly important. It's not subtle. It's not a small thing when you decide to go out your door every day and go do something. Not to quote The Hobbit or anything, but it is no small ordeal to leave your house and go do anything. And so transferring that power over to an artificial intelligence to decide where you can go, how you'll go, is very strange. It's transferring a little more of your own sovereign energy and power and your right to travel across the land as you like to into the hands of something else. And I think that is, I do have a problem with it. I haven't personally even really driven a car in years. That's just me personally. But I do think it's a bad idea. And I can't imagine why they want to have that kind of control over where you can go or who's driving you there. They'll use the excuse of safety. But there's nothing safer than, they do tests for that ever so often for the driver's license to make sure that you have good eyesight and everything. So why are they turning it over to a machine? And if you think about the end game in general of what they might be wanting, it's to control where you can travel to and who they're transporting. And it just seems that way to me. And there was some point that Derek made that I was like, yes, exactly. And I think it was, I'm not sure, but I am for sure about when he was mentioning the overriding of the system, of a being taking over the system. And I think that's something that could happen too. There have been, there's no reason that a spirit could not overtake a vehicle, especially when it's mostly electronic these days. And that's it. I just think that it's more infringement on your right to travel, how you would like to travel, and how actually important that is to decide for yourself how you will travel, where you will travel. And I think that taking that little extra step and infringing upon your personal rights is very much at the heart of this, because it decides everything about, it decides a lot more than we would think that it does. Because myself personally, not driving, just out of personal choice, I was in a weird car accident and I didn't want to drive anymore, but for a very long time, and I still haven't because I haven't needed to. But the very idea of giving that over to somebody else, I can say firsthand. But I'm very choosy about who I'll ride with or who I'll have drive me, anywhere. And so turning it over to a robot and deciding all of that for you is really weird. That's all I had to say about it.
Yeah, it is weird too. And real quick before you go, like if you're driving your own car and something happens, you're at least in control of how you avoid or whatever. But like these AIs are eventually going to be finely tuned to basically do whatever it takes to save as many human lives as possible. And if that means sacrificing you to do that,
compromising you,
yes, it will do that. It will do that, and that's what I mean, right? So it takes, yeah, exactly like you're saying, like, and I feel that it takes away our ability to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves. And you're talking about human rights here, about not just maybe the freedom of being able to go where you want when you want to go, but then also what about that ability to protect ourselves, right? I think it stacks, and there's a lot of things here that's just super creepy about it. Like I said, it's one thing to hack the house and burn the toast. It's another thing entirely to turn left into oncoming traffic. That's not good. That's not good. And that's where we're probably going to start seeing more and more of this. Let me ask you real quick then, also, when this starts happening, and it's going to, do you think they'll ever admit it? Do you think it's always going to be, like we said, the ambiguous glitches, or some hacker from North Korea or things like this? I think that's, like I always say, life is sort of a PR situation, right? It's like they're always lying to us about everything, and so I'm guessing they've never
automated. I see where you're saying with that. They've automated water purification plants. Those have been hacked by terrorists, and people were very nearly saved from being like, I don't know, some kind of dysentery or something from the water supply, just nearly, because of hacking. So, I mean, if they can hack the water supply, beware, of course they can hack transportation. And so I think that, I think that it's a very slippery slope when you start turning everything over into automatic systems, AI systems. You're looking at giving over more and more of, and people want so much to be in control of their own lives and their own destiny. And giving even just a little doesn't seem like much at the time, but it adds up. And more you lose control of your, more and more control. And people feel most comfortable, in fact, it can be a problem, when they have as much control as possible. And it's our God-given right to have all the control over our own lives. And when you give over just a little, it begins to add up. And you begin to notice you have less and less control over your existence. And more, someone else has control over your existence. And before you know it, already beyond where we are right now, you've lost all control, and you're going to feel helpless, or at least very concerned, if you're noticing it.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I think keeping as much control over your existence on every level makes people feel better, like any creature. And I think that that's something that's very much, especially where you can go, and how you can, who's deciding how you get there, or by what, even just deciding the radio station. A lot of people are very particular about that in the vehicle, or the temperature, just like you heard with the Wired interview. People like as much control as possible within reason, especially with strangers. So I think that, giving over a little is a little too much for a lot of people.
Amen to that. I appreciate the phone call. Great stuff as always. Jennifer here has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description. Go give her a follow. Always a pleasure, Jennifer. Thanks for the call. Have a great night.
Yep. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot, you too. There you go. Looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Anything regarding that, Derek, if you're still there? And then we'll go to James after that.
No, just great stuff as usual from Jennifer. Awesome stuff. Great stuff.
100%. All right. So looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Thanks for being patient, James. James is Salcedo Paranormal. What's on your mind, my friend? How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You got that down, man.
I've been doing this a little while now, I guess.
Right? Hey, practice. Carnegie Hall.
Yep. This one. It's quite the situation to look into. I have a few different things here as my heater turns on. Sorry about that. But for the first thing I guess I would say is if I don't mind the AI so much on its own. I just don't like that it can be hacked or other people, government agencies and or companies can be the ones programming the AI. Of course, someone has to do that, but I don't like that so much because the reason I say that is, and as a lot of people know me, I'm legally blind. I can't drive, at least not very well, probably. At least not among a bunch of other vehicles. And so in a way, I wouldn't mind doing being in a self-driving vehicle. Kind of.
Yeah, well, I mean, so if you can't drive yourself, like at some point in your life, you decided that you're going to have to be driven by somebody else, and that's just going to be that. So, like, it's clearly different for individuals. But then the next step is, again, the autonomous car. Like, suddenly you kind of have to trust that, and you even more so a little bit, because let's say it takes you somewhere bizarre and drops you off in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. You're like you're expecting it to take you to the right place, and if it doesn't, you could be seriously screwed in a very bad way, you know. And so that's why this stuff has to be airtight. But as we always say, right? It's everything's hackable. If you can build it, you can hack it, and that's the terrifying part, just like you described. But right in terms of kind of surrendering those things, we all make our own decisions on how much we should be allowed, just like Jennifer was saying, right?
Yeah, and I the reason I'm kind of like I say, the AI part doesn't bother me because if you think about it another way, the same could be said for a taxi driver. They could take me anywhere they want to.
That's true.
You know, and if I wouldn't notice, I mean, unless I was just wanting them to take me down the street in the same town, you know, where I could say, hey, you know, I know where we're at here. This is where I want to stop, you know. But if it was any, kind of distance, then that'd be different. So, again, the AI part I'm not as against on its own. But like I said, once you get into the fact that it'll be hacked, obviously, I agree that there's just so many different ways probably at this point now for that to happen. You know, and also just the idea of other groups of people being able to say where I go. For reasons other than safety, I could kind of maybe see safety to a degree. Then no, I'm not for that. So that was the first thing I think I wanted to talk about there. But the second thing is Derek and even Jen brought up, there something that made me think of this. There are already stories I've heard over the years of people having problems with their cars acting up on their own to where they think there's a spirit in there. And it's not even all new cars. And so if you take that and then you add it to the computer, and again, you add it to electricity, whatever, that's kind of funny but not funny, I could see if there's any kind of spirit in your home, they could literally go with you in your vehicle through the charging cord.
The true hitchhiker effect. It's gonna follow you around wherever you're at, and that's what this is, kind of, right? You remember we just did that one maybe last week.
Oh man, hitchhiker.
The hitchhiker effect, right? That turns this into a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But what about that Tesla that was picking up spirits on its screen? Remember that? I mean, there's some pretty wild stuff here. And by the way, Danny, I see Danny in the chat says, by the way, Troubled Minds, your shows are like perfect for like endless segues into so many other things. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for hanging out with us.
James, question for James.
Yeah, James, go ahead.
What do you think was going through Stephen King's? What was he dealing with in the 80s that he was writing like Maximum Overdrive and Christine and all this stuff? Did he have some kind of crazy car experience? Do you think? Like, what's going on in Stephen King's head? You're the Stephen King expert. Like, what's his fascination with evil cars? What do you think?
I'm being called an expert again. No, but I know about his books. I don't know a lot about his life outside of his books, other than the big accident that he had, but that was in the 90s, early 2000s. I forget now when exactly it was. Which is also kind of ironic in a way.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Not that it was good for him. I mean, anyway, I'm not saying that. So I don't know, but again, that goes back to that whole discussion we've had a few different times before about people who are creative being able to pick out or receive messages from possibly other times or other dimensions or who knows what, other spirits.
Yeah. Or even like outside of time, like he could have this big traumatic car crash that's going to happen in what he perceives as his future. But that, like, the same way people, they say like was picking up the impact of like 9/11 at the time. So 9/11 stuff was popping into pop culture before it happened because like whatever that trauma, that event was, kind of rippled through time. So for him on like a personal level, that car crash might have rippled through time, and he might have like caught some cocaine riddled like vision of it earlier and gotten some kind of crazy panic that he was afraid of cars or something like that for a couple stories, and then that his actual car tragedy didn't happen until later on his linear timeline. But in the scheme of things, it was caused by it, you know.
Yeah, and he was actually not even driving a vehicle; he was walking when that happened.
Oh, jeez, Louise! I didn't know that. Well,
oh yeah, he was walking.
What's the brief? What happened with him? I don't know anything about this.
So I don't know a lot of the details, but I do know he was walking down, basically a road that was near his house, and this vehicle, vehicle came up and over a hill. And so there was no time to react, and hit him, and severely injured him, to where he had to learn how to, like, he had severe pain in his his legs. I think he had a broken leg, and I'm not sure all the details. A lot of what I know, what is really odd is he included a version of that accident in one of his books. With himself.
Well, oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, in part of his Dark Tower series.
He had a car crash in Thinner too. Like the beginning of Thinner, the guy hits the gypsy woman with a car and kills her, and that's when he gets the curse on him by like the gypsy dad. He has a weird car thing. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, and it really, he went through, I believe he was in a wheelchair for a while because of how bad he was hurt. Wow. His hip, I believe his hip. So yeah, he was really injured. I have to look up the details sometime, and I can share those all more with you guys. But, yeah, so I don't know what it was with him. But there are stories. Heck, my grandma had a story of her sister's house. Their car, apparently one morning, when they woke up, the family woke up, it was missing. Turns out one of their neighbors had basically been taken on a joyride around the area and parked in front of a neighbor's house, and the neighbor actually saw it pull up. There was no driver in it.
Wow. That's what's going to happen. Like that's going to be some kind of nightmare scenarios, is like these autonomous vehicles. Just like, we're going to get these ghost cars, these phantom cars, legends, like, don't go to Route 66 at midnight because you get the phantom Cadillac will drive up to you and try to chase you around, like those kind of stories. You know what I mean? Like that'll happen. Like the idea of just giving entities the control over high technology and heavy machinery is just scary stuff. Sorry, I interrupted James. Continue, James. Tell me you up again.
No, and that was a good question. I don't know, but yeah, and I mean I feel like there's already stories here and there of them being inside technology anyway, and I had that one experience that one time. I talked about once or twice before on the show, where I got this really odd feeling that I needed to shut down my computer and unplug my modem, my internet, because something bad was coming, and it was going to arrive in my tech if I didn't unplug it and shut it down. And so I did that, and everything was fine, but I got this weird sense, this is an experience, but this weird sense that, like, whatever was there was not happy because it wanted to be here in this apartment. And I somehow stopped it at the time. And, of course, this was at night, of course. But then, of course, the next morning I woke up and everything was fine. I plugged everything back in and everything was fine. But it was just this presence that just built and built and built up until I could not ignore it anymore. So I think there are already things out there online, in the wires, in the web, one or the other or both, I don't know. But if it's already there, then who knows where, I mean, they could get into cars. And also, if you think about the AI with the cars, how long before different agencies start putting weapons on the things? That's what I'm wondering.
They've already got them ready to go. They're already retrofitted. It's going to be like slap, good to go. How many guns do you want, James?
I mean, they've already got the dogs, so why wouldn't they just have just put some on the sides of the vehicle, top of the vehicle,
or just like turning them into giant monsters? You know, that's gonna be the scariest part of them making these like robot dogs and these like robot weapons of war, is they're going to make them as scary as they possibly can. So rather than having like a horde of robot dogs storming over a field, they're going to make them look like dragons and monsters and Lovecraftian old ones and all kinds of scary stuff. So you put tentacles and teeth and scary eyeballs on a car, you all of a sudden have this weird monster running it. Maybe like somebody mentioned the Pixar Cars movie in the chat a little while ago, and it's like, what if that Cars world, I've actually never seen Cars, but what if that like Cars world is just the far future where these autonomous vehicles already wiped out all of humanity, and then they created their own society and created this car world, you know?
It makes me think of Transformers.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
stuff, Mike. Cool topic.
Yeah, good stuff. Appreciate it, guys. So James, the hitchhiker thing, it is interesting that in terms of maybe not just a spirit, it's a sort of hitchhiker thing, like sort of the Skinwalker Ranch, sort of in that vein, spirits kind of attaching, right? That type of thing. It is interesting that notion is also, right, like the scary hitchhiker. And it's the same thing of like the car being sort of like a safe space, like a sacred place for you. And, when you let somebody into it via a hitchhiker whom you don't know, it's like how many horror movies, start or that have a hitchhiker in there in a car at a dark road and a dark and stormy night. You know what I mean? It's weird how the term and what you brought up really kind of fits with all this. It's Nutter Butters, man. Great stuff.
Well, and there's already stories, again, just bringing up some stuff in my mind here. There's already stories of vanishing hitchhikers that people see on the roads.
Yeah.
And they pick them up, and they get in the vehicle. A lot of times it's actually a girl or a young woman. And then they'll be told where to go. The driver will be told where to go. And before they get there, and while they're looking away, they'll look back, and there won't be anyone in the passenger seat while the vehicle is still moving.
Yeah.
And so what if these are just going into the vehicles when they do that?
Yeah. Okay, jeez. It makes me think, like, what if you are the hitchhiker? Like, you're the one who's like needs a ride or something like that, or you call like AAA or something, and some car comes to pick you up, or an Uber comes to pick you up, and you get in the car, and it's just some like kind of really droned out looking person, some like guy that looks kind of half asleep, and he's not really talking to you. You're trying to like make conversation with the cabbie or whatever. He's not talking to you, and then all of a sudden you like inspect him. You look over, or you turn the car and you realize that he's like dead already. He's just a corpse, like this whole, like with his hands on the wheel, and he's not actually controlling the car at all. The car is like kind of propping him up as if he's like a person to try to convince people, like the car possessing the human body in order to like trick people into getting in the car. That it's like it's a lot of horror movies and scary stories going to be coming out of this. You should do you should do your own car scary story, James. That's a little list. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the list. Yes, the list. That list. Maybe if I ever take a break from the podcast, I will someday.
Yeah, so maybe a car episode. Yeah, scary car episode could be coming down the pike. Yeah.
Could be.
Totally. Great question there, Derek. I never actually considered that Stephen King had a weird thing about cars and like evil cars, but I think you're right. He totally does.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So weird. What else? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
He was like all kinds of like. He was like during the 80s and just like a giant drug super. Like he said he wrote The Stand in like a coke binge. He doesn't even remember writing it. It's like a weighty tome, and he doesn't even remember writing any of it. He just like woke up at the end of the weekend. And he's like, yeah, I wrote The Stand in 2 days, high on cocaine. So it's like maybe he's just, when people get in these altered states, they pick up glimpses of the future. So maybe it wasn't some diluted drug paranoia. He was actually not only catching a glimpse of his own crash, but potentially the nightmarish, evil car, autonomous vehicle takeover that's in our future, in our near future. But I see the other callers, so I'll mute up for real. But great show, Mike.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. As always, Derek, the Night Stalker, give him a follow. James Salcido of Salcido Paranormal. What else you got, my friend?
That's it for now. But I think I'll just hang out here and listen to everyone else.
Sure, absolutely. Again, please give these two fine gentlemen a follow. The links in the description down below. James is the official paranormal expert of Troubled Minds, by the way, just so you know. And he's got a paranormal podcast called Salcido Paranormal. To check it out 5 nights a week, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and he talks about all the things now. He's kind of branching out. Used to be a lot of ghost stories, and now it's ghost stories and paranormal news and all kinds of stuff. Book reviews, talks about Stephen King and etc. So on. So James, a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, and doing great work over there. So go check it out. Please do. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let's go real quick. Just going to shout out to Robert over on Rockfin. Thank you for sending the nice tip. I appreciate that. He said this. It sent me a text message. I didn't catch it till just not that long ago. And it's Robert wrote this. Thank you for the tip. He says, "This is probably the most important must-watch Troubled Minds you've ever streamed, Michael." I appreciate that. Thank you. And by the way, this was inspired by you. Again, inspiring each other on the daily. And shout out to Sherry out there over on Rockfin. A longtime friend of ours, been there on Facebook until we stopped streaming on Facebook and came and found us on Rockfin. So thank you for that. All right, so let's do it. We got more callers. There's more people. Let's find out. 702-957-1037. Daryl in New York. Welcome to Troubled Minds. If you're there, test 1 2. Cannot hear you. All right. You get that sorted, pretty please. I'll give you a sec here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org, and we're doing our thing. I don't know. Let's go. All right. Let's Daryl, are you there? I saw you unmute. Test 1 2. Nope, something's broken. All right, see if you can get that fixed. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. What's up, my man? Welcome to Troubled Minds.
Good evening. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. You have a car story for us, or an old car that you named Betsy or something? Well, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I had actually a '63 Chevy truck I called Betsy back in the day.
Did I actually guess the name? It was actually Betsy.
Oh, yeah, it was Betsy. Yeah, she had a 327 400 turbo transmission. It was pulled out of an old vet.
Nice, and she was fast. Hell yeah.
Yeah, she was a flatbed, so that's the only thing that was on there was just a cab and an engine. That was it.
Nice. So what are your thoughts on the cars here? This whole car stuff?
Yeah, man, I don't know if they want to be the Jetsons or what, but for me, I don't I'm not comfortable with that, and I don't even like being on the road with those things. Actually, if they're being autonomous driving where no one's in control, you know what I mean. There should be always somebody in the front seat anyway, but even though they can just switch it over, and then they have videos of these guys playing patty cake, and trucks that have it and everything, trying to make it all. I don't like it because, again, anything that can be built, like you guys were saying earlier tonight, that it could be hacked, right? And that puts everybody's life in danger, not just, it's something that's, man, I don't like. I just want to put it as it's very fucking dangerous. That's the only way I can really. Because if you think about it, if someone wants to, hack into something, right? And they're having people, just like the shit that's happening now, where these whack jobs are jumping in vehicles and taking out people that are like at fairs or something, walking around the streets and stuff. Even now they don't even have to be in the vehicle; they can just do it remotely, right? There's even these. Just seen a commercial where it was on a TikTok, and they were this guy was buying pizza. And it was a car pulls up. There was a pad built in on the side of the car, like on the rear, behind the passenger window. He walked up, typed in his code. The rear window rolls down, and there's his pizzas. He checked them out. Then he hits the, whatever. I think like his, he was done. He got his pizzas. The window rolls up, and the car rolls out. That's like, I'm pretty sure. The spies back in spy times, they had all these, they had these ability to, do like a remote RV car, kind of control something like that. They even had it for airplanes, because, if you look back in Operation Northwoods, they had the government and the CIA was, that was one of the things they were doing was going to fly autonomously, take an airplane and crash it into buildings, kind of like, what happened in that September in that 1 year. But so, yeah, I mean, some of this technology is been used for a while, but to actually have it, it being like an everyday thing where, you're supposed to get used to it, I don't think that's even ready for it. I mean, you see these movies where they show it where everybody's just sitting around, it's kind of like in a board meeting, and they're in this vehicle and they're driving it to a place, but they can actually control it. The car is only doing the speed limits. But if we're going to do something like that, you might as well just do rail systems. People with passenger cars and those rail systems we should be actually having nowadays, but I don't understand why we don't, because like China and, all these other European countries have these bullet trains, and then you have some ones that are like, in town, where you can have something it's kind of like hanging down from the track instead of, on a track. So it's not, it doesn't get cluttered in the way of pedestrians or vehicles on the road, train tracks, all that stuff. If you have something hanging up or even underground, that would be even something better. But this stuff, yeah, I don't agree with it, man. I'm with you guys. I think it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, definitely dangerous. You know what? I just had a thought too. So imagine, right? Like you dial the whatever, you get the app and you call the autonomous car, and you don't know it's a driverless car. It drives up, and you're like, okay, I don't want this, and so you like try and cancel it, but you can't. So it's dialed in GPS to your phone. So like as you walk away from the car, this car is gonna like follow you along. You know what I mean? There's some freaky stuff with this, man. Like, and again, when we started the conversation tonight, it was the police pulling over a driverless car because the lights were off. And again, like it's a tiny glitch, it's the lights were off. But if you can't detect if it's dark or not and turn the lights on, there's probably major problems, right? There's probably major problems. Yeah, crazy stuff. Gotcha. Copy that, Daryl. Copy that. Yeah, some kind of problems with whatever's going on tonight. Yeah, I don't know. Regarding so do you think what else you got, Kelly? What else you got?
With that too, like I was listening to that, that video you were playing earlier, and what actually kind of blew my mind is how they were able to do it through the audio system, through the radio, right? I think that was correct.
Yeah, exactly. Like you hack it through the radio, that you can turn the radio up and all the rest of that stuff because it's all built into that brain of the car, right? And tied into the internet. But yeah, they were turning up the radio super loud and all kinds of crazy stuff they were doing.
Yeah, man. Like if they're gonna do that through your radio system and then can control your vehicle from there, through that linkage. That now most cars now, they have the GPS system and stuff like that. I don't even want. I mean, I need a newer vehicle. I'm like my truck's about ready to be paid off, but or the wife's Hummer, But we need something, a little bit smaller for like travel. That's because we'd like to travel a lot, right? But I'm looking at vehicles that are older, man. I don't want to even buy a newer vehicle. That's what scares me about some of this shit. I'm to be paranoid, but I'm always paranoid, man, about something. You know what I mean? Because I don't to trust the government like that, or any kind of buddy. Because they're, they can. Imagine that. Like these new Teslas, right? They can. If you were even if you're a criminal, that'd probably be the last car you want to jump into.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like I said, the facial recognition scans. Like, oh, warrant for this guy. We're gonna just drive him straight to the police station.
Yeah, man. So, man, you know what I mean. And next thing you know, you can't get out until you literally pull up to the police station. So I don't know, man. That's kind of infringement on a lot of things, and plus it's just, oh man, I just disagree with the shit because now they're even having semis like that. I know they have farm. They got some farm equipment and stuff like that. You can even actually do your lawn on some of that, but maybe that's what all these 5Gs. It's going to be for like all drones, everything. Cars, just something like that. Everything's gonna shit. So it's man, I it up. It's just a prelude.
All right. You cut out there. What else? What else you got, my man?
That's pretty much it, man. I was kind of in. I had taken my dog got sick, so I was taking care of a mess, but I didn't catch everybody's thing, but this is actually a good conversation to be having. A lot of people should be talking. We the stuff. Some of the running off it too. If they're getting a wreck, that's dangerous too. Yeah,
100%. Great stuff. I appreciate it, Kelly. Always a pleasure. You're welcome to stay right there, as you know.
I'll be here.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the hot takes. I agree with Kelly. A little bit of caution goes a long way. Let's go to Ash. Ash, the reptilian from Mars. How do the self-driving cars go on Mars, my friend? How are you tonight?
Hey, how you guys doing? What's up, Kelly? Always good to hear a familiar voice. How you doing, man?
Good to hear from you, man. I haven't seen you around. Where you been in a hole underground somewhere or what?
Yeah, an above ground hole, a cave. Yeah.
The alien firefight with Phil Schneider. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, the Jeff Bezos Doombots finally pushed me out of my cave, and then I had to fight Matt Damon for a few months. But things are good. I got married. I married a space rock, and I'm happily married reptilian up here, and just living life.
Nice. What's your take on the cars? Oh, go ahead, Kelly. Sorry.
I said I just wanted to say real quick. I seen that, and congratulations on that.
Thanks, man. I saw your pictures of those Navy vessels. That was freaking sick. I'll have to come visit sometime or something. But yeah, the take on the cars. Artificial intelligence is a huge topic, and the advancement in technology. Technology has always been sort of a double-edged sword. It has the power to take us to the next level, to extend our lives, to bring utopia, and it also has the power to kind of bring a dystopia. I saw a video today of a drone announcing to Chinese citizens to quiet down and resist the urge to like for their souls to express freedom and to go with the COVID restrictions that they have over there. Everyone was like locked in their homes for a while because they have like a zero COVID policy over there, and yeah, it's crazy. And so like the dystopian future that you would see in Black Mirror is like starting to happen in some parts of the world, and just kind of in our lives, we've already kind of adjusted it with TikTok and OnlyFans and all this kind of stuff. It's just technology. It's just one of those things, man.
Yeah, 100%. Are you? Do you got any creepy car stories for us? You ever had a car like wake up and try and eat you or anything? I mean, like a flying car from Mars, of course.
Not. I did do a 1080 on a highway once. I drove a 300ZX, a 1984 300ZX back in the day, and had like bad tires, and it rained. And my car did a 1080 on the highway, and I went into the median and almost slammed into a concrete structure. So yeah, that was fun. But no, actually, so I did hear something about cars. That's actually kind of interesting. Is that if your car is a certain year and older, they're kind of like made without all this fancy technology. And that there was I think it was like from 2013 on or something like that, there was an exploit where a car could be hacked. Now, when the government finds exploits like the NSA and whatnot, they call them like 0-point exploits, meaning that they're not known. And those are like the most dangerous ones. And the CIA or something like that must have had one because one of the most popular ways of like assassinating people was literally to hack into the car and just floor it, and just I don't know if they could just floor it or they could move the wheel or whatever. But if you actually go back like through and you look from like a certain year on, there's this window where a lot of people were getting in car accidents, lots of important people and politicians, and that was the rumor that they had the ability to kind of hack your car and just like the movie Speed. It's one thing to try and if your car just floors it, what can you even do? All you could do is try and mitigate the crash. And yeah, I remember like around that time there's so many people in car crashes all the time. It's one of the ways that an agency or someone with power and that knowledge and power can sort of cull the herd in different areas of government, probably in other countries, right? And espionage and all this kind of stuff. And that's why there was this huge push to where China has been manufacturing our goods for so long to start really scrutinizing what they're putting in these things, because they were finding stuff, finding these like really small chips and all this code and back-end software there, and that's all part of it. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Welcome to your dystopian nightmare when all the cars in the whole country turn left all at the same time. there it is. Like Derek was saying earlier, like we trust these cars and like our ability with like an inch. You veer an inch and you got the little line between you and them. Yeah, all right, that's fine. Let's just hand this over to a robot. It's all good. no problem.
Yeah, I imagine aliens would like come down and be like, wow, like, kind of like how back in the day, be on a horse and you'd have to go hunt food, and like you teach a kid to use a gun when he was like 9, and a knife and get things done, and we kind of think of that as like just like dangerous and savage. I bet like the majority of everything we do is dangerous and savage to like,
God, the Anne Rice, the Savage Garden. That we just live in the Savage Garden. Great stuff, my friend. What else you got for us?
That's kind of it with cars specifically. I know, I've had uncles and friends who are really big car nuts. I was into it for a little bit until I realized how expensive a hobby it is, and it, can eat in the wall and it can be pretty heartbreaking. But yeah, I used to race a little bit and do some drifting and all that kind of stuff back in the day. But yeah, it is crazy with cars, and gas is so expensive now, and I'm looking forward to I would love to get a Tesla truck. I know that thing looks stupid, but you would. I don't know. It just feels like a step toward the future. It's something different.
Yeah,
I do. Oh, go ahead. I have something then.
No. I was just gonna say they do look stupid. You're insane. Go right ahead.
They do look stupid, but you're you're gonna stop and look. You're gonna be like, wow, look at that stupid thing, right? So that's all I want. Just a little bit. No, I actually drove a Tesla. My friend rented one, and dude, I could not get used to it driving. So it has a screen in the middle, and as people it will build 3D objects of a 3D environment of what it's seeing. So as people walk by and there's a lamppost, you can see it on the screen as 3D models. And it's really interesting. It's super trippy. But then, I try to let it do the autopilot. And so how it works is you can't take your hands off the steering wheel all the way or for not very long. And if you do, it'll eventually, the car will actually get mad at you and it'll punish you. It'll be like, nah, I ain't doing that no more. And it'll disable the autopilot for a while. Because I was trying to get it to just drive, bro. I was trying to enjoy, eat a burrito or something. And yeah, so I don't know if that's I don't know if that's in all models or just this one or the rentals. But yeah, and then I even had I was actually driving it, but I was kind of letting it do its thing. And I started slowing down early. I like to slow down early because I don't like to slam the brakes and stuff for a stop sign. And it freaking started flooring it toward the stop sign. I was like, whoa, I had to fight the damn car.
That's what we said earlier. It's like if you drive slightly out of the lane to avoid a hazard in the road, the AI will try and put you back in the lane. So you're fighting the steering wheel. It's so stupid. It's all so stupid. But that's the world we live in. That is the upside down. It's a funny story about the Tesla. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like we either all have to have self-driving cars or nobody has self-driving cars. I think the in-between is the weird thing. And, yeah, I don't know. What was the other thing I was going to say about the cars? Dang it, I forget. That's why I'm always trying to get it off. I forget. That's
right. That's right. If you remember, you know where to find us. You're good to go. You can stay right there if you want to. You're the best.
Sounds good.
Ash the Reptilian, everybody knows him. We don't need to introduce him, but he does have a YouTube channel. If you guys don't know about it, check it out. Links in the description down below. And give him a follow. He's, yes, you can see him in his full reptilian form talking about all kinds of crazy shit. Thanks, Ash. You're the best. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. Thanks for being patient and all the crazy tech issues we're having.
Hi, Michael. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Right on. Go right ahead, Daryl. What's on your mind?
Awesome. Great show. Great topic. I was thinking about this, like the future. What's the future going to be? Are we going to have everything's automatic? Is there going to be even a RoboCop stopping a RoboCar? You're going to have your AI talking to your AI. Or you're going to have the fire department. Is everything going to be an automatic pilot? Where are the people? Where are the people going to be? How many people are going to be left to do anything, to do any job? What are you going to do? And then I was thinking, I like to get in a taxi and I like to see where they're from. That's the first thing I want to know is where they're from and if they speak French, because then I can speak French, right? And I usually can pick the French ones by their names, But that takes it all of that out of it. Do you chat with the automatic car? Do you where are you from? Where are you built? What was your life like? What did you do before you were driving a cab? How do you talk to an automatic car? What kind of conversation are you going to have with that? Are you going to have any conversations? It takes all that charm out of it. But then also, do you tip the car? Do you tip that AI? I don't know.
You're like, when was your last tune-up, Herbie?
Yeah, right. I know, right? Hey, I bet you know. Do you know Christine by any chance?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Removing the humanity.
What do you talk about, you know?
Yeah. That'll be super weird. Have you seen? Yeah, I'm sure you've seen Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? The Johnny Cab. Like the guy's like, it's like the crazy cab driver, but he's a machine. It's so insane.
Right. I mean, I've gotten into. Listen, I used to drive a lot of taxis when I was taking care of my mother because she lived in a terrible neighborhood. And I had to take a taxi from the train station. And let me tell you, I mean, there's some crazy people out in Jamaica, And there was a time where, like, I didn't even know if I wanted to get out of the car because the guy was so crazy that I thought he was going to kill me, He seemed like he wanted to kill everybody, including the president. I mean, he was racist. He hated every race, including mine, whatever, I'm like, damn, do I get out in this neighborhood or do I just take a chance and he'll take me to where I'm going, And what if you get like one of these kind of like, it needs a tune-up or something and, it doesn't take you to where you need to go. It takes you somewhere else and then you're racking up your auto bill, and then, even some, like, kids could hack it and make you go somewhere that you don't want to go, They'll take you where you want to go. Or let's say you do get in an accident and you need that human being to get you out of that car before it burns up. Where's that person, on the driver's side? Like, he can't help you get out of the car, help me, like my door's stuck, unlock the door, damn it, I mean, whatever, It just seems like there's so many ways it could go wrong,
Exactly. It's that final frontier of, like I said, you burn the toast with your digital toaster. It's fine, but if you swerve left when you shouldn't swerve left, that'll ruin not just your day, many other people's day. It's not a good thing. Do you have a car story for us? Do you have a car you used to name? I know you said you ride bikes a lot. I don't hear you talk about driving often. You tell me.
No, I don't. I'm a real city girl. I'm never going to be. I never learned how to drive. I never had a car to drive. My parents didn't drive. Once you're living in New York City, it's totally ridiculous. Like, where are you going to put it? Parking your car, it's like paying rent for another apartment.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know what the cost is. Maybe $500 or more a month just to park it. And the gas thing, forget about it. My bicycle, I just want a smaller bicycle, that's all. I'm looking for a smaller bicycle with small wheels that weighs less than 20 pounds. That's my dream bike. And that's it, I don't want an auto bike. I don't even want a bike with motors. I want to do it myself. I want a manual transmission,
Right, the old school manual.
The smart stuff.
Like the Flintstones manual transmission.
Right, a foot car, yeah.
Totally.
Something you use your feet for. But I don't like anything smart. You have your smart televisions that can spy on you, your smart cars that could drive themselves, your smart computers. I mean, we don't have any privacy anymore. I mean, there's nothing private. Everything's automated. Where are the people going to be? That's all. I mean, this planet is going to be taken over by automation eventually. I don't think there are going to be any people left. It's just going to be AI. It'll be a sad, lonely planet,
Let's hope not. Let's hope that's not the case.
Right. I hope not, too. I hope not. But it's too much automation. You can have look, well, even Whole Foods just went self-checkout. And Whole Foods was like, all the people that worked there used to be very friendly until Amazon bought it. But I'm not going to say anything bad about Amazon. Everybody was very friendly and nice, and now you have to do your own checkout. You have to check out yourself. Like, everybody's doing their auto checkout now. Have you noticed that? Like, in the supermarkets, at least in New York, it's like that.
Yeah, a lot of places. Yeah. Isn't that funny that it's like, okay, now bag your own groceries, scan your own stuff, but they're like, no, not drive your own car. It's like,
no, I know, right?
where's the robot bagging the groceries? Sure. Yeah, crazy stuff. I think Elon's going to make us one. Hey, we got robots coming from Elon Musk as well. 2 years, we'll have yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Elon's okay in my book. He's cool. He's a cool dude. I think he's well, whatever. He's a decent rich person.
Yeah, one of the few, but who knows, right? Who knows what he's really like? That's the craziest part. He's certainly like some sort of genius in a lot of ways, but otherwise, yeah. Conversation for another day. Great stuff. What else you got, Daryl?
I'm good with that. I'm not going to be taking any auto cabs, so.
Okay, all right.
I don't even. I took Uber off of my cell phone because they didn't even show up in the right place, and I got charged for it. So, there's always something that could go wrong with tech. Look what happened to my computer today. I've had so much trouble even with my karaoke tonight, having sound. I had to switch computers like 3 times. I had like so many broken computers that I got fixed at the same time. So now I have enough computers to switch to, but now they're all broken, They're all refurbished.
I'm laughing, but it's not funny. I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Always some problem with technology, right? Never fails.
There is, and how many things could go wrong with an auto car? I mean, that really is scary. Like even what he said about the Tesla car, how it would get mad at you. If it gets mad at you and just like decides to floor it into, I mean, how mad can they get?
Right, exactly.
At what cost?
Yeah, right.
They don't have any idea the damage they could do to even themselves, by screwing with you. Like what do they care? They're not the flesh and blood.
Amen.
They're
Amen
not
to that.
self-aware. Telling you, but we gotta be careful with all this tech. It could go too far.
Yeah,
and,
caution, definitely.
Definitely could go too far. But great topic, great stuff, as usual.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for being enthusiastic and calling and having hilarious, amazing New York stuff to talk about. New York's fascinating to me. We need to do a longer discussion on New York and some of the strange big city stuff. You're the best, Daryl.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a story for every person. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Exactly.
There's a lot of stories in New York.
Exactly. So Daryl here has a YouTube channel. Do check it out, please. She sings in English and French, and she does karaoke on our Discord as well. So join the Discord, troubledminds.org. But more important, follow her YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Daryl. Links in the description down below, and always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks, Mike.
Have a great night. Thanks for the call. All right, there you go. It's 702-957-1037. I think we'll shut the phones down for now and wind this up. Let's go to Danny. Danny in... I forgot where you're from.
Kentucky.
I knew it. Kentucky. I didn't know it. I forgot. I remembered your name. That's I get points for the name.
Yeah.
Welcome to Troubled Minds.
That's good.
How are you tonight?
Thanks. I'm good. Is there an echo? No, I'm hearing your speakers, I think.
Oh, I'll turn them down. Boom.
Or
Try
you
that.
don't have to. On my account.
No, I got headphones on. I don't need them. I only need them for the commercials. So when I walk away, I can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
all good. You got a car story.
Yeah.
What do you think about cars?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on with this?
I mean, it's entirely feasible. Clearly, I mean, they're not gonna put it in movies and stuff if they're not wanting you to have to think about it, or actually do it to people and that kind of thing. But you reminded me of the lady in the car plant in Michigan, the maintenance chick who got killed by one of the assembly robots. And did you hear about that? It was like 20. Yeah, like
that was a real thing.
2017.
Yeah,
yes,
5-6 years ago. Yep.
It went rogue and totally. I mean, thank goodness. I think it was like the big giant kind that's screwed to the floor. Can you imagine if that thing had wheels or legs or something? Could just go around wrecking everybody.
Yeah,
but
just went full on Incredible Hulk, right? Like if it had wheels. Yeah. It's like, oh, one person's dead. Where's the next one? Oh, hey, you over there, right? You're next. Yeah, it's sick. It's sick. But did they ever figure out what that was? It was a glitch, right? It was a glitch that they fixed. It's been
you know what though? Aren't they always going to say that? Come on.
That's the point.
I mean, it was a glitch. Gosh, of course it was a glitch.
Yeah, we don't program them to kick humans' asses. Of course not. That's ridiculous.
No, not at all. But I was actually looking it up a few minutes ago, and because I couldn't remember when it happened, and apparently it wasn't the first time. No, sir. That was in 2017. I think yeah. And the other one there's one in 2015 in Germany at a Volkswagen factory. Where a guy, I just read this, like he was only 21. He was installing one of the robots and it pushed him up against something and like he did not make it at the hospital. Like his chest, like crushed. I don't want to say too much out loud, like it's traumatizing and stuff, but he's no longer with us. Yeah, I wonder how many, times something like that has happened. But they put that stuff in our faces all the time, like the the freaking like killer robot or a drone thing, and gosh, it's so then they start terrorizing people at Central Park with the put your mask on kind of thing, and some people were worried about those, like put your mask on or you're gonna get a bullet to the skull,
or at least a robot beatdown for sure. Yeah, did you see that one that Ash was talking about too? They had a robot dog that they had like this system like attached to like a bullhorn, and it was like walking around. And it's like for thank you for your COVID compliance. Like, oh boy.
Right. Well, I kind of like this though. I hear tell that people are messing with the little food delivery ones. They're like, I don't know, jackassing with those things. So that's good.
Yeah, right.
That's good.
Can you? Can I get a free pizza out of this somehow?
I mean, probably.
Do you know a hack? Can you tell us?
I mean, get a lasso, wrangle the damn thing, probably knock it down.
Right.
It's
Clearly,
just a box with legs on it.
Yeah, you ride up next to it on your horse, and you obviously.
Shit.
I've seen enough westerns to know how this works.
I mean, it's not that complicated.
No,
really.
All right. I'm going to try it. I've never seen one actually. Have you ever seen like one of those little pizza delivery boxes rolling around?
Not personally. I have seen one wrecked on the side of the highway though. Just a couple weeks ago actually. Because I do live in a city. I live in a metro area, and so we have those special privileges here. I don't know if I'm air quoting the hell out of this sentence right now, like special privileges, but
oh yeah. Extra
so
surveillance.
Stay away from me with your special privileges, please.
Super safety. Yeah.
I feel extra super duper safe now that they have put the traffic cams in.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Stoplight a couple blocks up, like probably in the last week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now I feel so safe.
So safe. It's all about your safety. Yeah, for sure.
It is, of course.
Yeah, I saw you in the chat a little ways back talking about how maybe everything has some sort of spirit in it. Do you think that does hold for cars, and maybe this idea of people having sort of these unhealthy attachments with cars, waxing their baby every Sunday type of thing, is maybe ritual spiritualism or something? What's your take on that?
Some people go way beyond that with it.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true.
Some people are like marrying their cars, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Like when it was such serendipity or whatever you want to call it. Right when you said read Bernays' comment about Johnny Cab, I had literally half a second typed Johnny Cab, like it popped in my head, and I ran over here and typed something about I wouldn't get in a Johnny Cab. And then I was thinking, people are going to they're going to want to marry Johnny Cab. They're going to want to get with Johnny Cab. Although he doesn't even have like a bottom half. So how awesome is that going to be? I don't know. Functional, that's going to be for you, ma'am, but whatever, or Mr. Whatever.
The bottom half is really large though. Because there's no bottom half because it's so large. So I guess
the whole car.
Hey, look! You give me lemons, I make lemonade.
That's why I call in the last hour.
Right. Of course. Yeah. What else you got? What else you got take wise regarding the cars and the AI? And you think this is something to be concerned about?
You know what? I think there has been so much fixation on the AI stuff. I don't think it's what they want us to fear. The whole like Geordie Rose thing, and like when I was an evangelical biblical literalist, that terrified me. But I'm not now, and hallelujah, I love Jesus still. But I don't think those people would be saying that out loud if it was true. They would not want you to know that. They wouldn't be warning you against their own investments. Think about that for a minute. If that's something they knew was really in there and they were really doing that to you, they wouldn't be talking about it so freely, like it's just this. And he's like all nonchalant about it, like, oh, it's this and that. It's to seed fear in your mind, so you fear the possibility of that ultimate terrifying control, and you're not going to act up. You're not going to get out of line because that thing might come wreck you. But I think a lot of the fear that they put in our minds over things like this, they can't really do a lot of that stuff. And I know there is stuff they can do. I do think cars are hackable. I mean, they've had the thing where they can turn cars off and make it not drive for a long time. That's no secret. But I don't think it has to be as complicated as demons in a machine. It's just a radio signal, And if they were really letting in some ancient ones, they're not going to tell you. They're really not.
Yeah, no, of course not. And until it swerves left for the ritual sacrifice to let them out into the world, or whatever that happens to be. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think there's a lot to it, but like you described. Go ahead.
Well, and that was one more thing I wanted to say about that is if you are worried about demons infiltrating your machine, well, read your Bible. All you got to do is a sin and you're letting them in. You don't have to have like a whatever demon's computer was, it D-Wave. I can only get like the upside down reverse anagram thing. And they do that on purpose too. The mirror image thing. It's all in your face and you see it because they want you to see it. They want you to focus on that. You don't have to believe what they believe, but they want your focus and attention and your energy. But sinning lets the demons in if you want to go there. We don't need D-Wave for that.
Yeah, right.
The demons are already there.
It's an easy transaction, and it happens all the time. Yeah, I can see that. And of course, in this instance, like I said, it doesn't have to be. But it's I think in terms of, let's say that robot that sprugged out and killed the people in the factories or whatever. There's still sort of some, even if it's, let's say, just an ill-fated program that did have a glitch. There's still something terrifying about the fact that if it zigs instead of zags, it'll flatten you like it stepped on a mouse. Yeah, I don't know. Like as you know me, I'll consider all the things, but if
it's a good excuse, isn't it?
Yeah, to just stomp somebody, right? Like
yeah. I mean, oh gosh, darn, we didn't think it would do that. Right. I didn't know that blank was a real bullet.
Right. Oh yeah. It's probably too soon, but the Alec Baldwin effect, right? Is that what that's called anymore? Yeah.
They don't have to actually have the things. They just have to convince you that they have them.
Right. That makes sense. So what else you got? You got any hitchhiker theories or anything else?
I got a bag of Takis, and they're really spicy.
Nice.
That's what I got.
Where can I get those?
The grocery store.
The grocery. There you go. Sometimes the answer is so simple.
Everything is simple. Most things, not everything, but most things are quite simple. Men, no, they're simple too. Yeah.
I was about to say, really?
Yeah, y'all are simple.
I was gonna say most dudes I know are simple as death. Right there, you go.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
Yeah, just the way it is. Yeah,
we are simple too. You just can't understand our voices. That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. I'm gonna give a hard disagree on that one, only because it's a complicated topic. Let's say it's a complicated topic. Yes, exactly. See what I did there? I got you to admit it.
I saw that. I got what you were laying down. I picked that up.
100%. Yeah. I don't know. Like people, right? It's a people. It's all like just like Algo said in the chat. It's all people. It's all egos. Really, it is. Yeah.
It's perception. It's individual perception,
and
not communicating.
Yeah. Ego's a hell of a thing.
That's another show too.
That's a whole other show. Robert says over on Rockfin, we men are simply the best.
Oh, there you go.
That's the attitude.
There you go, Robert. You win. Surprise.
I have no idea how we got here. What else do you have that's not going to make us start a war?
Oh gosh. Well, that's no fun.
That's no fun, but yeah.
I don't know. I've been thinking about AI a lot. I'm trying to really come to terms with, what I think is plausible and not plausible, with the whole AI thing, and that kind of, not more than kind of, probably goes hand in hand with the simulation theory thing. And, the more I think about it, the less I think that simulation theory is even. I think that's just another thing they want you to think. I really do. And I think if people think AI is real, then they're going to think they're in a matrix, but if you learn, this goes like, I love etymology. It's like awesome. And if you look at the algo, I can see your comments. Oh crap, she's learning she lives in a sim. No, sir, I don't. I don't think we do. I don't think we do at all. I think that conclusion is something people come to when they read they hear it as an idea and it sounds sparkly and stuff, but they don't really take the time to think a little deeper than that. And no offense to anybody that believes they're in a simulation, but I do think that everything that you are seeing is not real. I do believe that, but I don't think it's a simulation in a computer. Let me clarify that. That sounds a lot less bitchy. That's what I mean. That's how I mean it.
You're allowed to be human too. I mean, meaning have your own opinion. It's okay to have your own opinion. It's cool.
Nice takes effort for me.
Yeah, no. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, I mean, when I like to be honest with my nice.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I don't want to be pretend nice.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. And, so yeah, I don't know. Simulation, that's a whole nother can of worms there too. I mean,
it all fits though, the AI thing. And now they want everybody in virtual reality glasses and all that stuff.
So so if that's the case, so you believe that exists, but not the
VR?
Simulation. Yeah, well, meaning that they want to transfer sort of the whole consciousness into that sort of state.
No,
VR state.
I think that's BS also.
Well, no, I don't mean it in terms of like uploading you to a computer. I mean it in terms of sort of living your consciousness within their construct, right? Like
absolutely.
Like your flesh and blood.
Definitely. Yeah.
So the question then is, if that's possible, is this that base reality? Because it seems like Elon says, and I have to kind of agree, it seems maybe not as likely. I'm coin flippy on the simulation bit, but it seems like we can create it. So if there was like a race of the ancients or something that we were living in their construct, it tracks anyway.
Well, look at the last couple years and how it has affected everyone emotionally. People are needing new types of escape, and not that VR is new or AR, whatever. I don't know the difference. It's all the same thing, but this new, shiny, like very, at this point, very well developed, you can literally escape the entire world if you're going to go. I know someone personally that spends the moment they walk in their house, they don't have a minute, maybe in the shower, without that thing on their head at all times. They live in it. And that's what they wanted us to be 6 feet apart because, I do strongly agree that, when you're within 6 feet of someone, that your biofield is interacting with them, and it might be a little too positive, might be a little too healthy for the paradigm that we're suffering right now, the pharmaceutical thing. And they want to disconnect people from each other as much as possible. This is the selfie generation. People look at their phones. They don't make eye contact. We all have autism now. And the VR thing, it's if you're stuck at home and you believe you're stuck at home and you believe you can't go anywhere, you believe there's no means, that there's no way, or you're not allowed, just that you're not allowed. If you stick that thing on your head, it's so beautiful in there. You might forget, you might not feel like it's so bad. And I think all they have to do is convince you. And that's all it takes.
The oldest trick in the book. Just make you... What they say? They convince the people the devil doesn't exist or whatever. I can't remember the term.
Yeah. The best trick he ever pulled is to make people think he's not there.
You know what I'm talking about. Kaiser Sose, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. And not only that, like, make you enjoy it. And then once you enjoy it, right, you let it all in.
Right. I mean, that's what all the predictive programming in movies and stuff is for. Even you have like the Matt Damon thing. Wasn't it Matt Damon? I didn't watch the movie, but where he makes himself itty bitty. Things are great now. I'm like tiny. I don't need much food, or all this space is real small. I don't have to worry about that. And what is that?
You know what it is. You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's exactly what that is.
Exactly.
That's exactly what that is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Tiny homes.
Yeah, the only choice we'll have is what kind of drip you want. Is it Thorazine or is it morphine, and or something else?
Right. And I mean, frickin' what is it? New World? What's the first word? Brave New World. The pills.
New World. Yes.
But I think about this whenever I saw a lot of references to that today. Everything comes to me in like manifold presence in the last couple weeks. It just like. It'll be one thing and it'll come at me like 3 or 4 times in a row. And this part right here, this conversation we're having, has been like 2 days now. It's the whole, you'll own nothing and be really happy and you'll love it. It's going to be great because you're going to be so under a spell, under this illusion. But we'll own all kinds of things. We're going to own all of it. You get to borrow it from us. And are people not going to question that, or are they going to say, wait a minute, that's not all right, that's not okay? Because look at that big old giant house they have, and all those people cutting their grass for them. They don't have to cut grass, they don't have to cook anything. And by the way, what they're eating, it didn't come from where I got my food. And you bet your buns they're not eating crickets. So
hell no. Oh hell no! Or mealworms or any of the rest of that stuff. They're going to have the nicest Kobe steak from Japan, like the real stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's not. Again, it's all rules for them and a separate set for us, and that's just the way it is. It sucks.
Like V for Vendetta. Is this real butter?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Except, right? In a let's say a artificial scarcity world, then maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's all I have to say about that.
All right. What else?
I have an old car.
You have an old car? All right. So you do drive?
Once in a while. I don't use Wi-Fi though, and I don't have a TV. I haven't for many years. So I'm do things, I realize that, Walmart has been talking for a long time about putting, little RFID things in everything, like itty bitty ones. And I remember the first time I heard mention of that, people were like, okay, wait a minute. So people that like to see, people drive by people's houses the day after Christmas to see what big TV they bought because they threw the box away out on the street. And so everybody in the neighborhood that drives past knows what's in your house if they want to steal.
Yes, exactly.
And they don't need to do that because it's got a little chip in it now. So they can just, you can cut the box up and stick it in the can all you want, but they can just use one of those scanner things and scan the chips in your garbage can from like the tags you ripped off of everything, and they still know what you bought. So,
right. That's
but that chip, Walmart has those, those door things. Every time you walk in and out the door, it's probably scanning 4 or 5 things on your body that you don't even know you're wearing. So, your sunglasses, your eyeglasses.
That's not the future I want, Danny. Stop freaking me out. Stop it.
Well, they've been doing that for over a decade.
Okay, all right. I'm not going back there.
You got a debit card?
Cross it
it's
off
in
the
there
list.
too.
Yeah. Obviously, they're tracking all that stuff. Because they got to know when to shut it off, so they got to know where it's at. So they just beep.
Yeah.
later.
At least we're not being like penalized for how many sheets of toilet paper we use in a public restroom yet.
Not yet.
Like China.
Not yet.
Not yet.
They're doing that shit there. Yeah, that's for real. That's a real thing.
But no pun intended.
It's a real thing for sure.
But
for sure.
They are saying they're developing the technology to read everyone's rectal print because everyone has a unique anus.
Well, of course. Of course. I mean,
I'm not even joking. I wish I was. I really wish I was.
It makes perfect sense to me. Hey, that everybody has a unique anus. Hey, and just in case you never thought you were unique, ladies and gentlemen.
You're very unique. Just look at your anus.
You're very unique. Just get a mirror. Step one. Step two. No, I'm just kidding.
Because I'm looking at it all the time.
I'm just kidding. All right. Third hour of digressions. What else you got? Let's get the hell out of here. We're just about done.
Gosh, you need more? I mean, I can keep going, but no. No.
Boom.
I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Always a pleasure.
I'm going to
Danny,
digress here.
Did you start the podcast yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me know.
I think you're making me feel accountable, though. You're making me feel like I've actually been taking notes.
Okay. All right.
On AI, no less.
All right. Hey, and when you're ready, you let me know. I'm willing to help you out, and you're already welcome to be on the show whenever. Everybody knows that, but I just want to let you know too. You're part of the group, of course, and I appreciate you very much. So thanks for always being locked into what we're saying. And you got a mind on you, got a quick tongue. It's a very, very good thing. It's a talent.
You.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Let's do it, shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we? All right, let's do it. Let's smash the button. And James has been sitting here a long time. Let's check with James real quick, make sure he's cool, and then let's outro this MFer. James.
Yeah, great calls all night. Great show as always.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice. Like I said, I can only take credit for some of it. All the rest of it, not really. All the amazing people. All right, smashing the button. Let's do it. Rolling the outro. Thanks again for everybody, literally. Like I said, making my world go around is part of this. These conversations just... I don't know. They begin one place and end up in so many other places, and I think that's the beauty of all of this, and the beauty of all of us getting together. And so I thank each and every one of you for being locked into it, for understanding, for being kind to each other, for all that good stuff, right? All the dumb stuff politicians actually say, but they don't mean. I'm trying to mean it. I'm trying to say, look, we can be different and still get along. We can be different and disagree and still understand we have more in common than our differences. And that's what this has always been about. So thanks for being part of that and making this happen. And get the hell out of here. As we finish, it goes like this. I didn't get to do it on the other part because we were out of time. I wanted to play that Shall We Play a Game clip because I was too good to leave out. But as we finish, you guys know the drill. If you want to help the show, there's the podcast feed you can listen to completely free. It's got some commercials baked in. There's a Patreon, there's a Rockfin, there's a Twitch you can sub up to. All three of those things or any of those things. If you like the show but you don't have money or don't want to spend money, you don't like it that much, you kind of like it, just spread the word. Thanks for spending your time and energy with us, with me. I'm always honored. I feel like we're a blessed group to be together and fortunate to have each other, and that's just the way I see it. And there we go. So let's get the F out. As it finishes, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific for more Troubled Minds, and thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.